Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3, the Fan. You are being treated to the sweet sounds of Lou Gramm and Foreigner, currently nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We can go through. Paul, if you want to throw that in the Rindle Report, could be interesting later. Some big names got nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Get to that at some point today. Good morning, everybody. I am Woodsy. That is Paul Rindle. He is the executive producer. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I've already lived an entire day today. I'll explain in a minute. Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, is here as well.
What was Foreigner's career? War? Did Foreigner ever use performance-enhancing drugs?
What are performance-enhancing drugs?
Waking up this morning.
I know. I get you, buddy. I get you.
But, Hall of Fame voters have got to, they got to know the behind-the-scenes story of Foreigner.
Are they a rock and roll band? Something tells me they did performance-enhancing drugs. At least one of them, I would imagine. I've lived an entire day already. This morning, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I've already had an entire day. I woke up.
Now, I woke up early, which for me was about 3:20. Mm-hmm. What time did your
midnight? Woke up at midnight and went ahead and started my day. Got up, was like, "Whoa, okay, hang on, I'm up." Reached over, grabbed a little handful of butt next to me, my missus. Oh yeah, she wasn't in the mood.
Classic move.
Yeah, classic. And I looked at I'm like, it's got to be 3. Looked at my watch, it's midnight. I go, oh, I still have hours to go. So after grabbing a handful, I got up. Went to the kitchen, made a cup of coffee, 3 scrambled eggs.
At midnight.
Piece of toast. Yeah, midnight. Breakfast.
That's breakfast.
And a tangerine. And I sat down and I ate it. And then I said, all right, I'm going to try to take it back to the bed and see if I can go to sleep now. So I went back to the bed.
Cup of coffee doesn't really help with that.
No, it didn't. Got up and went back to my room. And then she got up to work out at like 1:30. So then I did something else that usually helps me fall asleep, and then that didn't work. So then I put on Billions and watched some Billions.
Stroganoff.
And then I took a 2-hour nap. I've taken a 2-hour nap already.
Oh, my God.
It's 6 in the morning. I've already had a 2-hour nap before work. So, needless to say,
I think you're stretching the definition of nap.
I took a 2-hour nap.
You had an interrupted sleep.
No, I took a 2. I was up for.
All right, let's say someone.
I was up for 2 hours.
Let's say someone's getting up right now at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have their breakfast and coffee and watch some TV. Then they would have their nap. When would that nap start? 9 a.m. 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. A 2-hour nap at 8 a.m. No one naps at 8 a.m.
I napped at 4 a.m. At 2 a.m. Laid down, fell asleep, had weird ass dreams. Woke up and was like, "Oh, it's my alarm." Ugh. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's something. I got more rest when I partied for days on end. This is horrible. It's horrible.
This job isn't conducive to the most consistent of sleep schedules.
It should be.
Sure.
It should be. The sleep schedule, in fact, is very consistent. Like, we put the kids down, we go to bed. I don't go out and get beers or anything at 9. I don't meet a buddy for dinner. I don't do anything during the week. And last night I got in bed, the normal time, made the kids lunches around 7, put them in the fridge, and I was in my bed by 7:15 and, scrolling my phone, watching something on TV, and then fell asleep. But I woke up at midnight and I was like, oh, I feel great. This is great. And then I go, dude, you have 4 hours left you can sleep. It sucks, man. And then it's morning show brain. The brain starts going, what are we doing today? Who are we talking to? Oh, God, blah, blah, blah. So it is just horrific. I don't know what it is. I told Hannah this morning, I go, I'm not going to be around much longer. This is going to kill me. It's going to absolutely end my life. I tried the CPAP. I rip it off in the middle of the night. It doesn't work. It's just terrible. I need like a coffin or something? I don't know. But I can't turn my brain off. That's the problem. So I don't know what to do at this point. Tried it all. Name it. I've tried it. Ordered a sleep mask this morning at like 3 a.m. off Instagram. Got one of those.
Love the sleep
$80
mask.
for a sleep
mask.
But
that's for people who try to sleep during the day when it's light out.
But
you're trying to sleep when it's dark out.
I have one. It's got the
It's
speakers.
got some vibrations and stuff in it. Yeah, it's supposed to be really fancy. So I need it. I think a coffin would be best.
Do you feel like you're being disturbed though, or you're Your own body's just telling you it's time to get up.
It's just when I do wake up, I feel great. But you can't feel great for 6 hours before you come to work. Your show starts at 6 and you wake up at midnight. That's not conducive to a good day.
See, I've been taking one melatonin gummy about an hour before I want to fall asleep, and I have been sleeping like a rock.
So, we meant to talk about melatonin last week. I wanted to put it on the rundown. The melatonin thing. So I've taken Ambien for years. And I tried to I don't know why I tried to get off it. It's bad. I'm like, does it help me sleep? It does. Great. I'm going to take it. I'm not crushing up 3 or 4 a day and jamming them up my nose or anything, but it helps me sleep. And I usually can sleep pretty decently through the night. Tried melatonin on a weekend. So I took I'm like, this is better. It's all natural, whatever. So I get a thing of gummy melatonin, pop 2. This is told me to pop 2.
Yeah.
So I popped 2. That Saturday night, I woke up, I was like, I was having horrendous nightmares. I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right, that had to be a one-off. I'll try it again tonight. 2 melatonin, being attacked by bears in the zoo. I'm like, I woke up, I was like, I got to go back to Ambien. This is way, way worse.
See, I didn't have any nightmares or anything, but it says on the bottle, adults take 2 gummies, and I did that, and I don't know, I think I got 6 to 7 hours, which is decent, and I was groggy as hell in the morning.
It's so
I
groggy, yes.
I cut it down to 1, which is totally fine.
In the chat, hey, what about some weed gummies? Yeah, you know what happens to me when I take weed gummies? I lay in bed at night, and I go, you're the worst dad, you're the worst husband, everything you've done, you're a piece of ass, nobody likes you, everybody hates you. My brain just goes, so... What's next for me? I have no idea what to take, but I need something that knocks me out, that Hannah has to go, get up. You got to go to work. That's what I need. And I just can't seem to shut it off.
May I recommend a second job that doesn't end until late at night? Because for all my faults, I have no trouble getting to sleep. And I sleep pretty well. For the limited time that I actually get to lay in my bed, I'm out like a light.
But you also
get
don't
up and
have
I feel pretty good in the morning.
You don't have anxiety or anything. Nothing. You're not an anxious person.
I don't think that's necessarily fair to say. I think everybody deals with certain levels of anxiety. Have I learned to tamp it down a little bit and not put myself in as many situations that make me anxious? My calm exterior is probably well-crafted over the years.
You love a well-crafted headline.
I don't like anxiety. I mean, no one does. It's not fun. No, I mean, everyone. But I think everyone listening right now deals with anxiety. Now, some people, it's constant and crippling, and obviously, that's something that you can deal with a doctor or a professional, or there's medications that can help. But I think everybody alive has to deal. It's part of the human nature is dealing with anxiety and how you cope with it.
I just don't know how people just go, yep, I'm out and fall out. I haven't. You could put me in the most serene spot on the planet with nothing to do and no one to answer to and nobody to bother me, and I'm still going to lay there and go, gah, 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 gah.
Do you do noise at all?
We have the noise on. It's great.
I think for me, and I know this won't work for everybody.
I take magnesium, Michael. I do all of it. Somebody's saying tart cherry juice.
Now,
I think
Katie says in the chat, I had insomnia and terrible nightmares for years. I'm telling you, trazodone legit saved me. Megan has trazodone. You got to get it prescribed.
Yeah.
But holy crap, does it work? I cannot stress it enough.
I've tried it.
Suggest
it's fine. I tried it. She gave me some. I tried it. It
didn't work.
No, it didn't work. God, nothing works.
I don't know what to do then.
I'm not the pharmaceutical sort, as you know. And for me, when I have something that I am worried about, but it's time to sleep, I have gotten to the point where I realize there's nothing I can do about it. If I've got something that I'm worried about, it'll still be there in the morning. It's fine. But right now, the only thing that I really should be doing is sleeping, and I can switch into that mode. Sleeping is the only thing that's going to help right now. It's not going to help me to stay up all night and worry about anything that I'm anxious about. It will help me if I get to sleep. So just kind of turn it off, and I go to bed, and I can sleep through it, and then it usually feels better after you've actually gotten some rest in the morning.
So she says, have you tried drinking yourself to sleep? Yeah, many times over the years. Not anymore, though. Not since this job. So, yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible, man. I turn the TV off at night. I do usually fall asleep with my phone on with my AirPods in.
Distraction is not a bad way to go.
Man, it's really tough, dude. It's really, really tough. So, I mean, look, you do what you do to get by. I'm here. I made it. But, yeah, 6 hours I've been up already. It's such a nightmare. It's just a night. This happens to me at least once a week.
God.
At least once a week. And I don't know when it's coming. And my brain is like, hey, guess what? It's going to be one of those days. It's just the worst. And, of course, when I get out of here, I don't want to do anything.
I've had it before where I can't fall asleep, and the closer I get to, like, midnight, I get that anxiety. I'm like, I got to fall asleep. I have to fall asleep.
So
Please fall asleep. Please.
Fritz said, just stay up later. You can't. Not with this gig. You can't do it. I can't just make myself stay up later. If I stayed up till 9 or 9:30, guess what happens to me at 9:30? Oh, God. Oh, no, I'm not asleep yet? Oh, crap, dude. I got a show in the morning. Oh, no. Like, oh, God, do we have everything done? Is it done? Is everything done yet? It's a nightmare. My wife's like, you should work out more. I'm like, of course you say that. Of course you do. Maybe it'll help, but I thought about getting up out of bed this morning and working out, but I was like, she's not going to let me in her gym. I'm a man without a country is what I'm telling you guys here. So if I'm a little bitchy today or a little on edge, it's like every other day, but just know that it's not because I'm well rested and just feeling bitchy. I'm actually bitchy.
Speaking of self-care, after the show today, I've talked about this before, but I have my regular dermatologist appointment to examine my various moles all over my body.
Yeah. You go every 6 months?
6 months,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, just because I do have as you can tell, a plethora of little dark spots, and it's not just the ones on my face that you can see when I'm on television or on the YouTube stream. They're all over, and I mean all over, which is it's
Take
very
your shirt off. Let's see.
It's very awkward, obviously, to have people examining you very closely.
Oh, yeah, they get in there.
They get a little microscope, a little monocle thing. Where
Yeah,
they're
you know how the guys do
really getting in there.
They get diamonds and they use the little
Yes,
loop with
exactly.
the diamonds. That's how they do. I got it
But they're
too.
doing that to your body
Yeah.
and all parts of your body because
Yeah.
you get moles in every area, everywhere. So you got to get completely inspected.
I went a couple weeks ago.
It's important to do, especially as you get older, our age, 40s and above, and you spend a lot of time in the sun, living in San Diego your whole life, plenty of sun exposure, so got to make sure that those don't change. So I will do that and get through it, and it'll be fine. But usually there's the doctor and there's the assistant, and everyone's in there, and they're just looking at you.
Yeah, they're
everywhere,
just picking you apart.
Yeah.
I went to the dentist yesterday. They did say my mouth was the healthiest it's ever looked.
Really?
So that was
Good for you.
Yeah, that was great.
That's good.
You've really been flossing.
Take
I have.
one
I have.
thing. See, that's one less thing to be anxious about.
Exactly right. Paulie and I have the same dentist. He's great. He did hit me yesterday with the, hey, how long is Bo's hair going to get? And I was like, well, I'll just stab you with one of your instruments if that's fine.
How often do you guys floss? Be
day.
honest. Every single
Every day. I got the little...
the picks.
And I just bring them. They're in my pocket. They're in my bag. I'm always trying to get
floss
crap out of my teeth. Yeah.
I would say I try to do it every day. I probably miss once or twice a week, but for the most part, I try to get sometime at least once a day.
Kirk?
Oh, I'm like once a week.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
You got to
need to be better.
get the picks, man. And
I
I need
to
you
be
just
better
sit,
with
watch
the picks.
TV and do it. And
Yeah.
it just, we were on a big flossing
It's at least-
initiative in our home
It's
for
at
our
least
kids
once a
too.
week, and then it's by need after that, depending on what
Now we know why you don't have people over. If you're just sitting around watching
Flossing.
TV and just flossing
Yeah, just flossing
all
the
over
time.
your house.
Guy
Kick-
knocks on the door. Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy? Kicking
How's
in
it going?
the chat says, do the Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat. I think my brain would eat itself in there. I just don't know if I could be alone for that long just with my thoughts because I think that's what's keeping me up. So I don't know, man. I'm struggling, but I'm here. I want to talk some baseball. I want to talk to Sammy Levitt. He always puts a smile on my face, that kid. Every time I talk to him, every time I see him, he is, other than us, Adam Klug just knocked it out of the park with that hire. I just love Sammy Levitt. Love him.
All right, we will hand out our menus for the program today when we come back. There was a baseball signing overnight. We will definitely get to that coming up as well. Don't go anywhere. It is Tuesday morning. Glad to have you with us. Ben and Woods, Paul Reindl, together in the morning. Some of us just got up about an hour and a half ago. Others have been up for 6 hours and 15 minutes with
Rough.
a 2-hour nap in between on San Diego's #1 sports station. See how the traffic's looking this morning. Kelly Danick, always standing by with a report here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, sir. Can I offer you a menu?
I would love a menu. Does it have sleep aids on it?
No, actually, so tonight, Shelly and I were going out to celebrate our anniversary. It was 24 years ago today.
24.
We went on our first date.
Oh.
And 22 years ago this week when we got married. Same week, different anniversaries.
Same celebration.
But same celebration.
Got it.
Yeah, and we're going to do a fancy dinner. I was just looking at the sample menu.
Okay. Lay it on me.
We're going to Valle, which is up in Oceanside. It's got a Michelin star.
Oh.
And you know it's fancy when there are things that even I don't know what they are on the menu. Like I can read it, but I can't tell you. Conejo Alegre.
Ooh.
Poached and roasted rabbit, green pea and mint, seguezo in caldillo.
Rabbit?
I don't know. I mean,
Sweet little rabbits? You eat a sweet little rabbit?
You're a monster.
How dare you, man?
What'd that rabbit do to you?
That sweet little angel hopping across the street?
would it be better maybe the tetela de barilla, the filleted braised Neiman Ranch lamb and frijoles
You're going to eat a
puercos?
little lamb now? Good God, man. What's next? How about a gerbil? How about a sweet little guinea pig? Oh, we got some roasted guinea pig on the menu tonight for Ben and Shell.
It's shaved with truffle and a little side of
Pescado
caviar.
zarandeado. Are you
Jeez.
okay with me eating some catch of the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're okay
Yeah,
with that?
Fine by that. How about one of our cats at home? Does that be nice for you? Get our sweet little orange kitten, bring him in, grill him up for you. So hope you guys get your sweet little fancy meal. Matthew says lots of people eat guinea pigs. I did not know that. Did not know that. Hope I never would. Isn't it funny? There was somebody did a stand-up bit about that. Oh, it's Dennis Leary. He's like, he goes, don't eat the tuna. Why? Because of the dolphins that get caught in the net. He goes, yeah, but what about the tuna? Like, well, F them. Who cares?
They also got caught in the net.
It's so funny, dude. It's so true. Like, no, man. As long as the animal is unattractive, you can eat it. If it's cute and little, you can't eat it, Ben. What else? What else is on there?
There was a beetroot salad with a Humboldt Fog goat cheese. You're not a beet guy.
I am not a beef
Well, see, that's
guy.
a sample menu. See, this place is so fancy that they won't even tell you what's on the menu because it depends on what is fresh and available that day.
I feel like, and this is just me speaking out of school, as usual, I feel like you're going to leave there unsatisfied and you're going to want to stop at In-N-Out. It's one of those places where you need second dinner almost immediately after.
Well, see, I've never been. I don't think I've ever actually been to a Michelin star
Is it the
restaurant.
ridiculously tiny
Tiny
portion?
little
Probably.
portion.
But then they
But-
drizzle some sauce around the
it's
plate to make it
beautiful.
look like it
Then
covered
again,
more.
after the Super Bowl party, I'm still kind of full
Yeah.
from Sunday, so I don't need a giant meal tonight anyway.
I still taste Taco Bell from Sunday myself, so I'm with you 100%.
But yeah, so I'm going to do the fancy dinner thing tonight. I'll give you a full report tomorrow morning on what was on my menu.
Let us know how the meerkat is. Sweet little angel, or maybe some panda while you're there too. Sweet little panda or koala. Yeah, it's really good.
All right, coming up, I want
Braised koala.
So we got the official news yesterday that Jurickson Profar is rejoining the Padres. We'll talk about day 2 of spring training coming up here. What will be Jurickson Profar's role with the team? I mean, you plug him right in as a starter. Is that the best strategy for Mike Schilt coming up this season if Profar is his regular left fielder? We'll talk about the prospects coming up and how quickly they can really have an impact on the San Diego Padres this season. As I mentioned, there was a signing overnight. The San Francisco Giants added a power hitter. Jorge Soler signs a 3-year deal, $42 million with the Giants. So he's coming to the division, another NL West rival. Adds a bat, extends their lineup a little bit. The impact on that signing, we'll discuss that coming up in our 7 o'clock hour. Regular features, Take on Woods, Don't Do This. Of course, at 7:35, Sammy Spring Training will be back. He did another great day of content.
He did.
He's not slowing down after
No.
a couple of days. I mean, multiple interviews.
I'm worried about him. He's going to need to take a breather. You know, he needs a blow out there for sure.
I
a lot
think
of,
with the he's always out there like 6 weeks for the spring usually.
Yeah.
So with the shortened spring training, I think he's only out there like 3.5, 4 weeks.
I want to see.
So he's just got to cram 6 weeks of work in.
I want to see if it falls off. You know, like 20 post day 1. By the last day of spring training, be like, Yuki Matsui throws another bullpen, and then he hits the road and gets out of there. Just one post.
It's it just kind of works depending on kind of who's available. That certain players get kind of a focus day at spring training where Sammy may do an interview. Someone in like the UT may write a feature about him. Yesterday felt like Ethan Salas Day.
Very much so.
In Peoria, as there was a big feature on him. You saw some sound bites and clips, videos of Ethan Salas. You posted one, commented again. Just the kid looks
fantastic.
As fluid. I mean, for a 17-year-old, looking as fluid and comfortable being in a big league camp.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I will say, though, I maybe this is what kept me up at midnight. I was reading Kevin Acey's article about him and what allegedly is the plan with him. And that domed me out. It was actually the first thing I said to Paulie this morning when I walked in the door. I'm pretty spun about that. And I can't believe that it's real. I want to talk about it.
We're uncomfortable as 48-year-olds in a big league camp as media professionals who are supposed to be there when we're there.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward. You just want to, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to go the wrong places. How can you imagine as a 17-year-old? Yeah, he's supposed to be there, of course. He's invited.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Maybe.
You have no idea. You're just playing baseball. You're just playing ball. Now, you put him in media camp at 17, he's going to feel a little different if there was such a thing as media camp. But that's what he was put on the planet to do, is play baseball. So I just, if the plan that Kevin Acey laid out is the actual plan, I was taken aback when I saw it.
We will hear and talk about Ethan Salas coming up. Our Tier 1 tour continues. We wrap up the NL East today. The Washington Nationals may not be the most interesting team in the division, but they'll be the last one we discuss, and we'll give you our predictions for order of finish in the NL East now that we're wrapping up our first division on our Tier 1 tour, counting down the days. Each team gets a day until we get to the opener between the Padres and the Dodgers on March 20th. Randall Report, all the usual features in our second half of the show. So that's your menu that may or may not include small, adorable creatures on it today. We will come back, though, and talk some Padres baseball. Jurickson Profar should be in camp in the next couple of days. Jackson Merrill, can he really be a opening day starter for the San Diego Padres this season? Is that the plan for A.J. Preller and the team if everything goes well? Get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. immediately looked at Paul and goes, "We're not talking about the Super Bowl again, right? We're not doing that again for a second straight day."
Well, I saw it was on the thing, and I went, "Oh no, we're rehashing Super Bowl 58."
Everybody in America is still doing it. Two days later, they're talking about the Super Bowl. I think we're moving on to baseball season, and I'm fine with that. I'm not going to force you to talk about it.
What did the shows, like, if a show was sent out to Vegas and they were there through the Super Bowl on Sunday, but they have to fly home, like, are they doing their shows yesterday from Las Vegas
Vegas, and then
get on a plane?
Then get on a plane and go home.
And then you're finally back in your studio today?
Yep.
We never brought up, though, and I thought this was fascinating because everybody's in a Super Bowl Squares pool at some point.
Yeah.
The Adams Friends Super Bowl Squares pool on steroids.
God.
Which I had never heard of this.
Strap in for this one. This is unreal.
But he texts us during the game, and he goes, "My friend is in this wild Super Bowl Squares pool. It's the same, 100 square grid.
Yep.
Everybody gets a number and a team. And
do you have the text too?
It works. I remember exactly what he said, but it basically, it's $300 to buy in for every square.
Every square.
Yeah. So that means that is $30,000 in the pot for the game. But most Super Bowl squares, you get your first quarter winner, halftime, third quarter, and end of game.
Correct.
This Super Bowl squares pool paid off every minute of the game. So 14 minutes left in the first quarter. What's the score? That's $500 right there.
Most likely 0-0.
Most likely 0-0.
Yep.
And his friend happened to get the square that ended up Chiefs 0, 49ers 0. So every minute the game remains scoreless. And if you'll remember, it remains scoreless for a while. Into the second quarter, it was scoreless all the way. So he won.
It was 3-0 after the first. I thought.
Let me get
It was meant. I think they got to the second quarter, didn't they? Before the first field goal. It was
scoring summary. 12 seconds into the second quarter is when they scored.
Yeah. So he won every
0-0 hit.
He won every minute for the first quarter and the first quarter prize pool. So
300.
Yeah. By the
every
end,
minute.
500 every minute,
Oh my God.
and then I think a $2,000 or $3,000 bonus at the end of the quarter for winning that one. So by the end of the first quarter, for a $300 square, he had already won like $7,500.
It's unreal.
That was one of the craziest Super Bowl squares pools I have ever heard of.
I mean, like if you put in 300, you want to buy more than one square, obviously, but who wants to be like, here's $1,200? I mean, you could be out $1,200 and not win a thing.
And as Squirrely pointed out in the chat, and yes, and then after it was 3-0, a touchdown made it 10-0, so back to 0-0.
0-0.
And he started winning again. He didn't win at halftime. The Chiefs scored right before half.
10-3 at half.
Added a few more $500 notches to his belt. A very profitable day.
And then Adam texted us a little bit later in the game. He goes, "My buddy also bought squares in a $60 per square game, which is still pretty expensive. And that paid out $100 a minute, and he was getting paid out on that one as well. He had the good squares in that one.
That's insane. Absolutely, I can't even imagine that feeling. I can't even imagine.
See, that's
$7,500 through the first quarter.
That's the magical story. The other story is everyone who paid their $300 for the square and got,
nothing.
8-1 as their box and never won anything.
You're just in hell.
Yeah.
You're like, oh great, here's $1,200. Because all right, you got to buy at least 3 squares. Tough to drop a G on
that's
Super
a lot.
Bowl squares. That's a lot of dough.
You can go in with friends and try to do it that way and split it up. Ultimately, the winning square, though, at the end of the game, at the end of overtime, was a very unusual one. It was the 5-2 square, right, at the end, which is not one that typically pays off quite often in a Super Bowl pool. 5-2 is a very unusual number. So that was just my last thought on the Super Bowl that we didn't get to yesterday. That was pretty crazy. All right, let's check traffic. We're going to talk about the competition now. Is there a competition for the Padres now that they have a full complement of outfielders? What does that look like in Peoria when the full squad reports this week? Get to that next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Stop on 163 before Genesee. Got a large pothole in the slow lane. Also traveling on northbound 805 right before El Cajon Boulevard. There is a stalled semi over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So I made the point yesterday when the Padres signed Jurix and Profar that I like the move mostly because you don't want to force prospects to play who aren't ready to be on the big league level. And we have no idea, despite what the Padres can tell you, however optimistic they are, however high they are in their own prospects, there's no way even A.J. Preller can tell you that any one of those guys is going to be ready to contribute on the big league level on March 20th in 1 month and 1 week, and be ready to go and say, all right, kid, that you're the guy. You're our starter for the time being. So you have to have other options. And if you're going to have a guy out there who may struggle a little bit, you'd rather have it be a veteran on a 1-year deal, inexpensive, who's gone through some struggles before, can do some other things for you, and let that other guy, let your prospect get at-bats on the minor league level to continue his progression toward the big leagues at a proper pace.
So I saw, again, you're going to see there's really since we've been covering the team together as a program, I've never seen one move that, not just the Padres, that any baseball team has made, not one, that didn't come without a couple of fans grousing about it. I'm sure there were Dodger fans that was like, oh no, like Ohtani, are we really giving a guy this much money? We don't even know if he can pitch. I'm sure they were out there, right? Juan Soto was like almost 50-50 when we acquired him. People didn't want him. People didn't want Manny Machado. It happens. Like, I couldn't really find any reason to be upset about a Jurickson Profar back on a 1-year, $1 million deal. When I search my soul, I can't find any reason to be mad about it. I've saw people say, well, this is just we're just going to regress. Now, I did also see our odds did not jump at all by adding Jurickson Profar. Not that you expected them to, but
actually went down a little bit
Did they
for
go
his
down?
total win total with his negative WAR from last season. Their estimated wins dropped a little bit with the signing of Jurickson Profar.
And listen, and I don't know if it's Profar. I don't know if it's had we gone out and signed, who's another guy in the same vein for $1 million? Would you have been more excited about that guy?
I don't know that there is any other guy in that vein for $1 million.
Yeah, 30 years old, switch hitter, can play the outfield.
I mean, just the longevity to have played as many major league games as Profar has played, which I don't have the number in front of me, but you play that many games, that many seasons, you're like, I'm more than $1 million.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I think we've been on AJ's ass about throwing money away, and it's like, well, okay, this actually was a fairly decent, smart move.
I like this move a hell of a lot better than the Nelly Cruz signing last year for $1 million.
I loved the Nelly Cruz signing last year for
but
$1
I
million.
like this one more because I think he can at least provide.
He can play the field and can play multiple positions. He can. So I really didn't have. If you look at it.
He's a switch hitter. Padres didn't have a switch hitter until Jurickson joined them last year on the roster.
If you look at it, though, like, oh, man, here we go. Same old Padres. I mean, okay, that's definitely your right to do that. I didn't see anything wrong with this. I don't know. Like, it didn't make me super excited. I wasn't gassed up all day. I thought it was a foregone conclusion from 3 months ago.
Doesn't prevent them from making another move.
No.
If they want to go out there, $1 million didn't eat up whatever. We don't know what the remaining budget is, but whatever it is, I think it's more than just $1 million. So doesn't prevent them from making other moves. I think it's good. But ultimately, the best case scenario, and I wanted to make this point yesterday, the best case scenario for the Padres is not Jurickson starts every day and has an okay season, because let's be honest, best case scenario, Jurickson has a pretty average offensive numbers, walks a bit. He's not going to give you a ton of power, not going to be a gold glover, but he's not going to embarrass himself out there. That's his best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's a disaster offensively, has a season like he had for the Rockies, and you are once again looking for solutions in the outfield. Any range of options is true. The best case scenario, though, for the Padres would be someone like Jackson Merrill kills it at spring training, like Fernando Tatis Jr. did in 2018, and absolutely forces his way onto the big league roster as a starting outfielder, and you have enough depth that Jurickson is that bench piece, that versatile switch-hitting option that can play multiple positions, that can come in as a pinch hitter against either side from the plate, draw a walk late in the game, veteran presence. He's at 31 years old, he's an ideal bench player in Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
He's not an ideal 150-game starter in Major League Baseball. If Jurickson Profar starts 150 games, it's not a good thing for the San Diego Padres. Wouldn't really be a good thing for any team in baseball right now. For Jurickson to come and play, 70, 80 games off the bench, fill in here and there, get some pinch hitting appearances, have an okay, slash line with that. That's a great usage of Jurickson Profar over the course of the season.
Well, and the other guys in the clubhouse know him. They were all, Cronenworth talked about him yesterday. That we love him. He speaks 4 languages. He can talk to anybody. He's a fiery dude. I think he's, again, it's just there's a lot to be upset about with this team. I just don't think adding an outfielder, which you desperately needed on a 1-year, $1 million deal, is anything to get your panties in a wad about. I certainly didn't. I just thought, okay, cool. Let's get more. Is Brandon Belt still available? I mean, we're at that point of the season, right? Like, I don't expect the Padres to go out and sign Cody Bellinger or Blake Snell or anything like that.
Joey Votto, you are a San Diego Padre.
I've kind of flushed, most of the grandiose ideas at this point. Now, let's get some guys that can round out a roster and see what they're made of until maybe these young kids are ready to produce. I just don't have. It's a 1-year deal, and for $1 million, which is just nothing at all. So
Mike
Schilt
was asked yesterday about Jackson Merrill and the plan. Didn't really get any new information. Yeah, he's gonna play in the outfield some. Still want to get his work in the infield, though. They're not just saying you're an outfielder forever. So he's got a lot. He'll have a lot on his plate over this next month.
It's probably by design, too, to be honest with you. They're going to throw everything they can at him and see what he can handle and what he can't. And I think that's completely by design. A lot of people will ask, well, we've even asked it. If he's going to be an outfielder, just put him in the outfield. Let's see what he's got. Because, again, if his value is as a shortstop, guess what? Another team may really value that. So you don't want to completely take him off of there. But they're going to throw everything they can at him and see if he sticks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Here's Mike Schilt talking yesterday about Jackson Merrill.
The thing with Jackson is, again, he's versatile. I talked to Dennis about this in the offseason that, he can get out in the outfield, but he hasn't done it much historically. He has played there a little bit in some Double-A games. Has been really intentional, and I think the organization did a nice job. And Jackson's been a voice and a participant in making sure he's getting his work at shortstop. He's also getting his work in the outfield, making sure we're keeping him, from a load management, especially in the off season, keeping him fresh. We're going to continue to be intentful about what that looks like, but we do want to kind of read the tea leaves and get him in the outfield and let him see what that looks like, and we have more comfort with what he's done in the infield, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Fellow tea leaf reader, Mike Schultz, you're going to fit in just fine on this program, sir. Likes to read the tea leaves, too.
It was that was kind of a non-answer in terms of the plan for Jackson Merrill.
We're going to work him out everywhere, man. We're going to just keep him. We're going to keep him guessing every day and see what the kid can handle.
Speaking of non-answers, A.J. Preller is scheduled to address the media later this morning as well.
Shot, man. It was a gratuitous shot.
A fair one, though.
Fair. Yeah.
Good morning, guys.
I think even A.J. would acknowledge in
he's listening right now. He grinned.
Private moments.
He grinned.
We know that A.J. says a lot without saying a lot.
He grinned at you.
He'll get those questions about Jackson Merrill's usage and is that is it the plan to start him on the big league level, and he will say. He'll give you a 2-minute answer without really revealing any information.
You do make a good point. I mean, we all remember the stories of spring training years ago that it really painted the picture of Rudy. Haas and Manny walked in with their jerseys and they laid them on Andy Green's desk, and they said, if Paddock and Tatis aren't on this team, then I'm not on this team. That's how it was painted to us. You want that. You want Manny and Xander and Tatis to walk into Schilt's office and with their jerseys and go, it's Jackson Merrill and left. It's Jackson Merrill and left. It's Jackson Merrill and left as they throw their jerseys down on the desk. You want him to kick the door down.
I love that story. It was great. But remember, at the time, the worry was that the Padres were going to want to go on the cheap and not start Fernando's clock ticking. Hey, keep him in the minor leagues for a couple of months, and you'll have an extra year of control on Fernando Tatis Jr. And the veterans, Manny and Eric Hosmer thought, let's not do that. Let's try to win now. And the Padres were like, yeah, we agree with you, actually.
Also, Peter Seidler, I believe, was quoted as saying, if we did that just to manipulate service time and we missed the playoffs by a game or something, he goes, that's not okay. Right. Not okay when you have a kid like that banging on the door.
And by the way, turned out not to matter at all. They signed him to a 14-year contract long before the service time, kicked in or was an issue. So it turned out not to be a big deal. This go around, though, I feel like privately, A.J. Preller and Josh Stein and even Mike Schill are probably rooting for Jackson Merrill. I really hope this kid has a great spring because it would really help our ball club if we can plug him out there in the outfield at the start of the season. And if he can just give us some decent numbers and continue to improve and learn also on the big league level while being a somewhat productive outfielder, that's the best case scenario for us. So no, they're not going to need any convincing from, Manny Machado this time that, hey, we need Jackson Merrill on this team. And they're just going to go, yeah, we need Jackson Merrill on this team. My worry, of course, is that because they so badly want him to succeed and be there, that they're going to make a decision that they regret later, and that is advancing him too far, too fast, when he hasn't had enough experience and at bats in the minor leagues. And we've seen it before where you set guys back by doing that. You give them a taste of the big leagues, you give them a taste of failure that they can't work their way out of because they don't have those tools to overcome the better pitchers, just the travel, the different lifestyle, everything, all the adjustments that you have to make to being a big leaguer. And they hit 140, and eventually after a month and a half, they get sent back down. But instead of killing it in the minor leagues, all of a sudden, now they've lost their confidence, and now they're struggling in the minor leagues, and you've spun them out completely.
But that is every single player in the history of baseball. That's every one of them, save Dave Winfield. You know what I mean? That came right out of high school and ran onto the baseball fields and never went to the minor leagues. That's every single one of them. It happened to every one of them. It's going to happen.
And he's been in the minor leagues.
Sure, yeah.
Tatis was in the minor leagues, came up very fast, has never really struggled.
Yeah.
He's had an extended period. But never really struggled. Like, there was never a time you thought, well, they're going to probably have to send down Fernando Tatis Jr. No. He's never struggled, and that would be the dream scenario for Jackson Merrill, that he's good enough that you never really even have to think about sending him back down once you bring him up. There are players like that.
Yeah, like I think Corbin Carroll was one of them.
Yes, there are certainly players like that. Now, most of them get time in AA, a little time in AAA, and then they come up and they're ready to go. Very few can have 70 at-bats in AA, and then they're ready to go forever for their career in Major League Baseball.
And I know you hate when I do this, but it's absolutely the case. I mean, I do expect him to get big league at-bats, but, you're going to have to see. You're not going to know if they rush Jackson Merrill or anybody else until the end of the season. That's the thing. You're not going to just wait 162 games and see. You're going to have it's a hard game, and it brings the best players to their knees for weeks at a time. It's going to be a struggle for him at some point. We're not going to know if they were rushed until after the season's over. But right now, I mean, you have holes to fill. That's good news for Jackson Merrill. It's there if you want it. Go get it.
All right, we'll come back. Take on Woods is coming up. Chance to qualify for the trip to Las Vegas. Overnight, the San Francisco Giants signed Jorge Soler to a 3-year contract. I've actually got a take for you that this could possibly be good news for the rest of the NL West. I'll tell you why. Coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I'm back in my comfort zone. It's been a while. Obviously, it was very hard for me to adjust to the Padres being, record-setting spenders for a couple of years. Colonel Budget was not ready for that.
I'm glad you're happy.
But my comfort zone is watching other teams sign players, and then I rationalize why it's really not that good of a move.
It feels right.
Yes,
doesn't
it does.
Yeah, you're like,
Yes, it does.
I'm all the way back now.
It's Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan, and an NL West rival made what seemed like, on the surface, pretty smart move last night. The San Francisco Giants signed Jorge Soler to a 3-year, $42 million deal, stealing him away from the Miami Marlins, where he had a good season last year. He hit 35 home runs for a team, helping lift the Marlins to a surprise playoff appearance. The decision he made to opt out of his $13 million player option turned out to be a smart one. He gets 3 years. He gets an average of $14 million per year. So, yeah, he upgraded his contract, heads out to the West Coast, and the Giants get that power option they've been looking for quite some time. In fact, much was made of the San Francisco Giants signing. Did you realize they have not had a 30-home run hitter since Barry Bonds?
That's incredible.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
3 World Series titles.
Yep, and not a single 30-home run hitter in any of that time. Now, a lot of that, though, is where they play.
Sure.
Ballpark, cold, on the water, tough dimensions. Unless you're a left-handed, Barry Bonds type, huge, towering fly ball guy, it's tough to hit him out that way. It's tough to hit him out the other way. It's impossible to hit him out to center field, that cavernous corner that goes out 430 feet or whatever it is, where the bricks kind of, turn in the outfield, just endless. It's a great spot for triples, not a great spot for home runs.
Do you not think, though, because I watched our pal Xavier Scruggs talking about Soler a couple of weeks ago, and he thought the Giants would be a good fit, and the reason that Soler's power is prodigious. Like, he's going to be able to hit anywhere he plays. There's a difference in.
He's going to hit some home runs, no doubt about it.
I love, Manny's my favorite player. I don't think Manny gets his 30 pops in San Francisco. I don't. I think Jorge Soler.
I'll take the under 30 on home runs for Soler this season.
What did he hit last year?
35.
35. Yeah, I mean, God, that's an interesting number, Benny.
And by the way, even if he doesn't hit 30, that doesn't make it a bad signing necessarily. I'm not trying to argue that. I was more worried, though, and maybe the Giants have just bottomless pits of money that they want to spend. I was more worried they'd go out and get a Blake Snell or a Jordan Montgomery. And
they still might.
And my hope is that, another $42 million, and they're going to kind of say, all right, but we got to kind of be done now, and we're not going and going to add a top of the rotation type starter. That would scare me more. Having a top flight pitcher in that ballpark, in that division that you have to face, 4 or 5 times over the course of the season. Soler will hit a couple of home runs, no doubt about it, especially, on the road. I mean, he's going to get some, but
that'd be a good little side bet for us to make, because I think he can get 30 there.
You think 30?
I think he can.
I'll go under 30.
I think he could be the first one to do it since Barry Bonds. His power is outstanding. I mean, it really is. So, and you look at that, and they got the new center fielder from Korea, Jung-Ho Lee. They've got Conforto, who's trying to get make his way back. They're feeling pretty good in the Bay Area this morning, getting a guy like that.
So he hit 48 for the Royals in 2019, but then short season, then 27, 13, 27 in 21, 13 in 22. He was hurt. He only played 72 games, and then 36 actually last year with the Miami Marlins.
That's a good number, though. 29.5, Benny.
Solid. I'm going to go under.
I'll
just,
take the over.
I think
bet.
There's so many things that can go against you hitting 30 home runs. I'd probably go under just about everyone, unless you're Aaron Judge.
Right. Arson Judge.
Maybe Pete Alonso. The guys who are probably going to get 30 every single year. By the way, David Stearns yesterday came out and just admitted we're not probably re-signing Pete Alonso.
Did he really?
Well, he's going to get to free agency.
Wow. Okay.
He said he's a Scott Boras client. Basically what we heard here with Juan Soto for years. They are admitting in New York now that we don't expect an extension to get done with Pete Alonso this season before he hits free agency. Scott Boras is going to take him to free agency. And that doesn't mean the Mets won't be a player
In the
to
mix,
try to
yep.
keep him in the mix, but they do not anticipate getting a deal done that will keep him from the open market at the end of this season. Wow. So expect Pete Alonso to be one of the names talked about greatly in between the 2024 and 2025 seasons, because the Mets don't seem to be even thinking about that contract extension right now.
Pete Alonso on the free agent market, along with a Juan Soto on the free agent market next year, is going to be really interesting.
And I think it tells you, for Padres fans who are going, why didn't you just extend Soto?
Sure.
Why did you trade him? You should have just extended him. Don't think it was an option. If the Mets don't feel like they have the option to extend Pete Alonso, where he makes a lot of sense there, fans like him there, he's done good things there. He's not quite the name that Juan Soto is. He's good, but he's not quite that level. If they can't get Pete Alonso done, there was no hope of getting it done in San Diego with Juan Soto. Doesn't look like there's any hope of the Yankees getting it done with Juan Soto this year either.
It feels like a one and done there.
That should tell you that it was the right move to trade him.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Unless you thought that he was the difference maker between a World Series winner or not. And it doesn't feel like add Juan Soto to this team and all of a sudden they're a World Series winner at this point.
Not even a playoff team.
That had to be the right move to trade him at this point. If you can't extend him.
As much as it still kind of is a bitter pill to swallow.
It is.
Certainly.
It is. But you have to read the tea leaves.
The tea leaves.
and understand that his agent is not going to let him sign a free agent deal or a deal that keeps him from free agency.
Yeah, interesting.
I need a contestant for Take on Woods. This is your chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas and tickets to see Air Supply in concert at the Westgate. Give us a call now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll play our game here in just a couple of minutes. The Marlins added 3 more executives yesterday.
Oh.
They have added way more executives than players. They lose Jorge Soler, but they add 3 executives.
Just what every fan base wants to see.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're friends with Skip Schumacher.
Yep.
And he'll keep his true thoughts a little bit guarded on that. It's got to be frustrating for a manager to take a team to the playoffs, win manager of the year, exceed all expectations, and then in the offseason, you lose your general manager. You hire a new guy who is insistent on bringing in analytics and executives and reformulating the front office, but essentially does nothing to his roster other than, lose a couple of key players over this offseason.
Just in desperate need of offense. And they're doing nothing.
So, yeah, they announced the hiring of 3 more executives, a pitching strategist, couple of other people. And I'm not arguing against good, smart executives who understand things and can help you win, but you also need players. Ultimately, you need players more than you need executives.
I would say I have sympathy for them, but we have a 40-man roster with 37 names on it, so I don't feel that bad for them. But you're right. I mean, the point you made to kick off the segment of back in our happy place of now just crapping on other people's probably pretty solid moves feels right. It does. It's good to come home again.
Absolutely.
Who says you can't come home again?
Let's just hope it's a temporary visit, like coming home from college.
Yeah, you get right back in.
We're just kind of visiting
home
home for a little bit.
Get a little laundry done.
We get to go back to being the team that's spending a lot of money.
That's
and, competing for the World Series championships all the time. That would be nice. 833-288-0973. Call now. We're going to play Take on Woods here in a minute or two. Shohei Ohtani made his debut for the Dodgers yesterday.
Hitting some cage bombs.
In batting practice.
Look good. What are you going to say? Look good. He's a freak. So
it was his first, apparently, outside, in the cage swinging since he had his surgery in September. And they said, people who watched, 10 home runs in 21 swings. Even though his intent going in was just kind of swing easy.
500-foot bombs to dead center.
He was only supposed to go and just take a couple of easy hacks, just poke the ball the other way a couple of times, see how it feels. It felt so good, I just decided to
that content of him hitting absolute nukes and Yamamoto out throwing his javelin every day, I'm already done. I'm already done. Let's get baseball season over with. Let's get into the offseason.
I mean, they're winning the offseason right now. There's no doubt about it.
No question.
It's hard to even poke at the balloon of what the Dodgers have done this offseason.
You can't do it. 4 wide ones when we see him. 4 wide ones. Just hold it 4.
I didn't.
4.
I didn't realize that
You
they
don't even
were.
have to do that. Just get your ass on
Yeah,
first
yeah,
base.
go. Yeah.
They weren't sure he'd be ready for the opener. They were going to be kind of cautious and conservative. But now, after one batting practice session, Joey's going, I'm pretty sure I'll be ready to go by the 20th
Can't wait to see you, pal.
in
Great.
Korea against the Padres.
Superb.
So that's your baseball news and notes. Let's get to it. It's the play. Take on Woods. All right, let's go to Brenda. Brenda, are you there?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. All right, let's get you qualified for Las Vegas here. We got the 2-night stay at the Westgate, 2 tickets to Air Supply, May 31st, June 1st at the International Theater. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster.com. All you have to do is beat or tie Woods. 5 questions of musical trivia. You know how it works. So let's get to the sponsor first. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. All right, here are your categories. So I'll have add a 0 sitting there. Each answer will have one more 0 than the previous answer. Hook, line, and sinker. The word hook, the key in each of those answers. And Essie Ladies. That would be not sexy ladies, Essie ladies, a woman's name that begins with the letter S in all of the answers. So add a 0, hook, line, and sinker, or Essie ladies. Brenda?
In regards to the ladies, is it S as in Sam?
S is in Sam, yes.
I'll take that.
All the Essie ladies. All right, so not sexy ladies, Essie ladies, as in all of the song titles today include a woman's name that begins with the letter S. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many as you can. If you don't know an answer, you can pass. Come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question is our 2-second song. You will hear the music. You need to give me the song title and the artist to score the point. And remember, every answer will include a woman's name with the letter S to start it. Are you ready, Brenda?
Absolutely.
All right, Paulie, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music in the category Essie Ladies. Good luck, Brenda. Let's take on Woods.
My Sharona the King.
Ooh, incorrect. Which 1975 breakthrough hit for Hall & Oates was written about Daryl Hall's friendly stewardess girlfriend?
She's a man-eater.
Incorrect. A classic Ford figures prominently in which 1960s hit for Wilson Pickett?
Pass.
A comic book character called the King of the Jungle is the title woman in which 1977 hit for the Ramones? Queen of the
Sharona?
Jungle. I'm sorry, Queen of the Jungle. Frankie Valli really let his powerful falsetto rip in which debut single and #1 hit for the Four Seasons?
Shannon.
Incorrect. Go back to a classic Ford figures prominently in which 1960s hit for Wilson Pickett?
Pass.
All right. A comic book character called the Queen of the Jungle is the title woman in which 1977 hit for the Ramones?
Oh, I apologize. I passed.
That's okay. We've only got the other 2 left, so classic Ford figures prominently. You know any classic Fords?
Oh.
No points today. She had My Sharona, but it's not the Kinks, it's the Knack. That's that was the band. Otherwise, she got that one. Sarah Smile is Hall & Oates. Mustang Sally is the classic Ford. Sheena is a punk rocker. Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. And Frankie Valli is Sherry. Sherry Baby. All right, Woods, let's come in. This is going to be a win today for Woodsy. Let's just see if he can sweep the category or not. All right, Woods coming in the dark, has no idea what the category is, what score he has to beat. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Brenda.
My Sharona by the Knack.
Correct. Which 1975 breakthrough hit for Hall & Oates was written about Daryl Hall's friendly stewardess girlfriend?
Rich Girl?
Incorrect.
Damn it.
A classic Ford figures prominently in which 1960s hit for Wilson Pickett?
Pass.
A comic book character called the Queen of the Jungle is the title woman in which 1977 hit for the Ramones?
Sheena was a punk rock girl?
Correct. Sheena's a punk rocker.
Sure,
Frankie
punk rock.
Valli really let his powerful falsetto rip in which debut single and
Sherry.
Correct. Classic
Okay.
Ford figures prominently in which 1960s hit for Wilson Pickett?
Something with shake these nuts. I don't know.
I think that is a 3 score, which is good enough for the win today. Category was SE Ladies. So you had Sharona, My Sharona.
Okay.
Sarah Smile by Hall & Oates.
Okay.
You tried Rich Girl. Mustang Sally, classic Ford, Wilson Pickett. Sheena is a punk rocker. And Sherry Baby.
He gets so high, and that's all.
It's incredible.
All right, try it. Hold on, give me some first. Let's
play it a little bit.
I want to
first
see if I
time
can get it too.
warm up
We
here.
both
You
have
know,
a little bit of a
I'm
chest
not in
cold.
my
I'm not
best
either.
here.
I'm not either. It's fine. Hold on.
See if I can cue it up.
I'm a little nervous, actually.
Was he holding his testicles the whole time he was doing
Are
that?
you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
Sherry baby,
Sherry, baby.
Sherry, won't you come out tonight?
Come out. Not bad.
That's actually one of my better efforts.
It was not bad. You could have done way worse. Way worse on that one.
Maybe the little tickle or whatever we both have is actually helpful for the falsetto.
So Wood's looking away. I had to look down.
I
couldn't.
that
I
was
just
tough.
shorted out.
That was not bad though. His face though during it on the thing was that's why I had to look away. How? Baby. It's like impossible. Like, Frankie, you sure you want to do this? You know you have to sing this on tour. No, I got it. Piece of cake.
Every night.
Every night.
You're going to have to
do
break
it.
this out.
Hey, we got 2 shows a night at the state fair. You're going to have to do this. I'm fine. What does it sound like now? Sherry baby. I mean, it is unbelievable. That was great. Good job.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Wow.
You see his face in there? It's incredible.
I've got a fun do this
Okay.
next. Possible history that could be made in Major League Baseball.
No,
this
I like
season.
that.
We'll get to that coming up next with Bennett Woods. Back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't Do This is brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. Thecrafttaco.com.
We had one of our tier ones in the chat said, I stopped by Craft Taco and got some. He said it was phenomenal. So I can't wait to make an appearance myself. I'll get us started. Actually, I'll do both.
We got a couple of golf-related items here.
Well, I wanted to update the story we did yesterday. Zach Johnson really having a hard time at the Waste Management Open and yelling at the fans and the whole bit. Well, there were some other quotes that came out, Benny, and he was doing an interview, and he said, this tournament has been inappropriate or crossed the line ever since I've been on tour. And this is my 21st year. And I thought to myself, if it's that bad, it's not an elevated event, you don't have to play it, then you don't have to play it, right? Like has it gotten progressively worse? Yeah, the answer is probably yes. Was this year insanely bad? Yeah, I think there were some aspects of it that were probably not great. I think the weather had a lot to do with it too. There was one day it was like a 16-hour day because of delays.
Yeah, they're all on the course for 3 hours. There's no golf being played.
Right.
There's nothing else to do but drink.
But get drunk. Yeah, get drunk.
Yeah,
and
that was part of it.
But somebody had a funny quote. They said, well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 21 straight years. I mean, guys, like, if it sucks, if it's been inappropriate or crossed the line every year, then you don't have to play it. It's just, it lends it continues to foster the stereotype that golfers are a little bit stuffy and kind of babyish.
Afraid of growing the game.
I
Is that
tend
not
to
good
agree.
for the game?
Like people having fun.
I kind of agree with you. What's the worst case scenario for Zach Johnson? Someone screams, fires an air horn in his backswing.
Yeah.
He shanks one. He doesn't win the tournament. It's obviously that's not ideal. But it's, he's still getting paid quite a bit, whatever he finishes, to be there. He doesn't have to, as you said, he doesn't have to play in the tournament. It was an elevated event last year.
Right.
The one thing so no one had a hole-in-one this year on the 16th. I wonder how insane it would have gotten had someone actually made one this year. They're probably lucky that no one did make one this year.
It was nuts.
So
our buddy Cuppy was there, and he said, as bad as you heard it was worse. He said he was in one of the suites. He said it was like Caligula, and they said it was insane. Which is perfect for Cuppy.
They are making changes. Chance Cosby, who's the executive director of the Thunderbirds, which is the equivalent of the Century Club here in San Diego, they put on the tournament in Phoenix. He said, I think you will see a complete operational change of how we manage really our Friday and Saturday, but the entire week. We're very proud of what we built. I think we have been the tournament of the year on the PGA Tour 5 of the last 7 years, but we don't like what happened on Saturday. Players don't like what happened on Saturday. Our fans don't like what happened on Saturday, and so nothing is off the table. You forget, they're rowdy people, but it's not like, they had hundreds of thousands of people there. My guess is that tens of thousands of people were very well behaved and were there to enjoy the golf and have a fairly responsible good time, but there was a large sub-segment who went a little too far. And you're going to have to be a little more careful in policing that going forward.
And I'll stay in the game of golf. I got to say, man, I'm a Tiger Woods fan. I can't wait to watch him play the Genesis this week. I'm elated to see him. He did a brand launch yesterday for his new, he left Nike and did his Sunday Red, and I was shocked when I saw what he'd come up with. Looks like the skeleton of a tiger. You seen it? It looks like a carcass.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I've seen it.
And it's a Sunday Red. Sunday's usually
3 words.
Yeah, Sunday's usually 1 word. Sunday Red. But it's a Sunday Red, and then there's a tiger's carcass. Looks just like the bones of a tiger. Like if you go to a museum and see a dinosaur, that's what it looks like. You guys see this thing? It's terrible. It's terrible.
So
I think it'll sell because it's Tiger Woods. He could put anything on anything, and it's going to sell.
I think I heard, so there's 15 notches, kind of like
for the majors.
And one for each of his major wins is kind of what it represents.
You could have just put a tiger and put the number 15 on it. We would have all gotten the same, 15 stripes maybe?
I didn't get the name, like you said. Sunday Red. Red, obviously, he wears red on Sunday.
He
but
does.
Why can't it just be Sunday Red?
Is all the gear's not going to be red, though, right? That'd be... Way to pigeonhole yourself.
They can't all be red.
Seeing guys at the local muni in red shirts, I laugh every time. I'm sorry. I I laugh when I see you. I'm sorry. I really am. Don't you agree? If you see a guy in a red shirt playing Encinitas Ranch, don't you sniggle a little bit?
It's really funny.
It is funny. Do you wear a red shirt? You don't know.
I don't think I've ever worn
I bought
a red
white.
shirt
I bought
to play
white
golf.
pants, but that was as a bit. I've never worn them since because I never would.
I mean, I don't want to wish him ill. It's TaylorMade's a local company, and they're teaming with Tiger. So, some people will buy this. There are Tiger fans who will be obsessed with it.
It'll be their most
I
selling.
share some of your branding concerns.
Yeah,
it
looked odd to me. I thought, man, that you guys got in the lab and that's what you came out with. I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks different to me.
All right, finally, let's do this. And this is
mega doo-doo.
So this is a very cool story. Jen Powell is getting closer to potentially being the first female Major League Baseball umpire. She is not the first minor league umpire. They've had a few of those, but she is working her way closer to the big leagues, up to AAA. She's going to be working Grapefruit League games this year, so she'll be doing Major League teams during spring training. And she is starting to get up to like the crew chief level, which is where, like, if an umpire is out sick for a week or gets COVID, they will pull from AAA to bring them up. She's in position where at some point this season you could potentially see the first female umpire in Major League Baseball history. She's been umpiring for like 10 years, last 7 in the minor leagues. She was an athlete, college athlete, player, wanted to stay in sports somehow, thought she'd have a good temperament. This would be something good for her. She pursued it, did everything you have to do. She's gone through all the steps, the progressions from the Gulf Coast League all the way up. It's very slow.
Paid
a lot of
her
people
dues.
never made it. She has paid her dues, though, and
awesome.
she is 47 years old now and on the cusp, on the precipice of potentially making history. Now, other sports have had, there's female referees in football, not a head referee in the NFL, but you see them, sideline judges and stuff. NBA has some female referees in the league now. I think hockey has, even in the NHL, there's some female refs. So there's never been an umpire in Major League Baseball, a female umpire. She could be the first, and that's a pretty cool story.
My wife would be a really good umpire. She's tough to argue with, man. She's very tough. She's not going to take your S either.
Holds her position.
Now, she's not going to talk to you for the rest of the game, but she will absolutely hold her position. But you get the silent treatment after that. But I think she'd crush it.
Does she know all the rules?
No.
have to
I don't
learn
know all
those.
the rules. Can you imagine? I don't know. I still don't know 80% of the rules in baseball.
You know most
I
of
don't
the
think
rules.
so. I don't think so. We should do a rules challenge one day. It would surprise you how little you know. When Jesse gets going on that rule book in the season, I'm like, oh, man, I had no idea.
Somebody had when we were out at fantasy camp, I don't remember who it was, but somebody gave us a suggestion that we should try to get maybe a retired umpire on the show.
I was like, you know what? I like
idea.
that idea a lot, too. Because there's only one umpire I like, and he's a tier 1. His name's Jamie. He's great. Gives me 6 inches off either side. He always has. He's fantastic. But
that doesn't make him a good
it
umpire.
makes him a phenomenal.
Does not
it makes
make
him the
a good
greatest umpire of
Makes
all
him a
time.
bad
Are
umpire.
you kidding? He's phenomenal. If I keep hitting my spot, he's going to give me the ball. He's going to give it to me.
Thank you, Eric Gregg.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, you guys still hitting the spot. I would love to talk to a former umpire. And be like, you know what my first question is? What's your problem? What's your problem? Right? I think it would be so
It's a pretty
interesting.
thankless job.
It would
You
be.
got to have a thick skin.
Oh, yeah.
That's Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we will head out to spring training, Cactus League style. Sam Levitt, Sammy Spring Training, is going to join us. He was another content factory yesterday for 97.3 The Fan.
He's in the chat right now. The guy's crushing
Talking
the game.
to all kinds of players already. We'll get an update from Sammy coming up next here with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Would you like to know how thorough our Sam Levitt is?
Yeah.
Spring training Sammy is so thorough that he not only provides a full day of content from spring training, but he'll give you the choice of video either in vertical format or horizontal format. Like, he's got completely different highlight packages based on the orientation of his camera.
He's the GOAT.
He's next. It's getting now, Sammy. You give too much, and they're going to ask too much. And you got to slow it down. Like, can you make that in a shape of a rhombus, please?
All right,
like,
Sammy's standing by.
Parallelogram. Hey, can you do this in parallelogram?
We will get an
It's coming, dude. I'm telling you, you got to learn to play the game, man. He's killing you. I got a lot of work to do with him, man. A lot of work to do.
We will get an update.
Maybe a kaleidoscope filter.
It's coming. It's coming.
An update from Sam Levitt coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a crash blocking the slow lane westbound King Freeway just before 30th Street. Couple vehicles involved. And stalled vehicle on northbound 15 before the 56. That is over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And there he is from his Airbnb in Peoria, Arizona, the overachiever himself. Sammy Spring Training joins us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, vertical/horizontal Sammy.
That was pretty funny before the traffic. Here's the I would say the equally as impressive thing is that there's still footage on the cutting room floor.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
There's a lot of that camera roll that doesn't make it, multiple shots. But yes, I try to go horizontal. I try to go vertical, and we'll see what Adam asks.
See, that's great, because Adam will take one blurry picture from 300 feet away on his phone. He'll just post it. I mean, there's nothing that ends up on Adam's cutting room floor.
Yeah, nothing.
Well, you know what? It's sometimes you want to get both kinds of videos, and I'll tell you what, like for YouTube, it's really nice, that horizontal video, and it looks really good. For some reason, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, the video never looks as good.
Nope.
Like, Paulie, I don't know if you've noticed this. Like, it never comes out.
It doesn't like render well.
No, it doesn't for whatever reason. So I try to give people multiple options. And what I need to do next is I actually have, there we go. There's some video on the YouTube stream. Very nice. What I need to figure out how to do next, because sometimes I miss things, getting them both horizontally and vertically. I need to figure out a way to use my old phone and then a device where I could have two phones at once, one vertical, one horizontal, and that way I never miss anything in multiple formats.
Like a dual tripod.
Doing my best.
Like a splitter
Exactly.
or something.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. So I think it was after we talked to you yesterday, Sammy. Was that right, when Manny and Crony showed up? Or was that before? It's all running together for me.
No, it was yesterday's. Yeah, so in the clubhouse yesterday, Manny Machado arrived for the first time. Jay Cronenworth arrived for the first time. Ha-Seong Kim, like we talked about yesterday, was already there. And Manny walked in and and greeted everybody and had an embrace with Ha-Seong Kim, and those two were already getting along on the field. I posted a photo on Twitter of the Manny with his arm around Ha-Seong Kim, which everybody always loves that Kim Chado connection. So it was good to see those guys, and everybody got out there and worked. And I'll share something with you that I thought was interesting that I actually didn't send out yesterday, and I meant to, and it just popped into my mind now because Manny and Cronenworth walked in right when I was looking at this. But one thing that I thought was really interesting in the clubhouse in a season where the Padres may rely on this young group of players, these top prospects. We'll see how it all shakes out, but certainly a possibility, at least right now. If you looked at the locker order, and you guys have been in there, that part of the clubhouse near the door where everybody walks in. If you go left to right, it was Paulie, Cronenworth, Merrill, Bogarts, Machado, Motorella, Tatis, Kim, and Marcy. So it was veterans and young guys all mixed together, kind of locker by locker, which I thought was really cool and makes a lot of sense and really interesting. So,
and not by surprise. That's not a random draw either.
No, Mike. It feels like that's got Mike Schilt's fingerprints on it.
Yeah, I would assume not. I haven't asked anybody about it. I haven't asked Mike Schultz about it, but it was really interesting and I think pretty cool. So that was worth noting to me when I looked at it. But yeah, Manny was there. Cronenworth was there. Everybody got out on the field. I'll just tell you kind of the recap of what those guys did. Manny took plenty of ground balls at third base. He did not throw the ball to first base. He just tossed them away. He got set like he was going to throw at times, but never threw. We haven't heard from Manny yet, but I'm sure we'll get an update on where exactly he's at after that elbow surgery. But look, I think regardless, good to see him first day in camp taking ground balls at third base. Then Jake Cronenworth was at second base, was at first base, and that's his usual thing. He kind of is practicing all over the place. And first day of spring training, I wouldn't read too much into it. And Ha-Sung Kim, obviously, second base, shortstop. They all hit. I saw Ha-Sung hit. I didn't see Manny hit, so I don't want to say whether he hit or not because I was on a different field. But I saw Cronenworth hit. I saw Ha-Sung Kim hit. And all those guys got their work in. And look, for whatever it's worth, notably, they are there early. Guys don't have to be here till Thursday, Friday, position player-wise. So they're here early, and good to see those guys, and everybody seemingly getting along with smiles on their faces.
Well, Sammy, based on your coverage, I also know that Ethan Salas is in the catcher's corner over by the beverage fridge, wearing number 90. In his first full spring training with the big league club. And I thought the post of the day, he had a very humanizing answer to being a 17-year-old among these adults, these veterans, these big league stars that he is now sharing a locker room with. Here's what he told our Sammy Levitt yesterday.
The first year of being inside this clubhouse day to day, this part of spring training, seeing some of the names on the lockers here, what are the emotions like when you walk in here and understand who's in here with you?
Yeah, it's cool. I watched these guys play when I was on TV when I was younger. I played with them in video games, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool just getting to know them as people and as teammates. I think it's going to be really, really fun.
Sammy, your impression of just Ethan Salas after getting a chance to interact with him up close a little bit?
Well, look, number one, he definitely is bigger and taller, and he did tell us he has grown. I don't know, what the height is exactly. I don't think he's been measured yet necessarily, but he certainly, from what I remember a year ago, and I talked to him, a handful of times a year ago, he is bigger physically, so that's worth noting. Look, he is exactly the same as the first time I talked to him inside the Padres clubhouse after he was signed. He does not seem 16, 17 years old. There is a clear maturity to Ethan Salas. He, doesn't seem fazed by really any of this, by the hype, by being in the clubhouse with guys like Manny Machado and later on Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts, list goes on. And he doesn't seem fazed by the challenges he's been given. For example, last year being, kind of rushed up to Double-A and all the different things he went through and what he could do this year. You just come away really impressed. It just doesn't seem like he's fazed by any of it. And quite frankly, when you hear him speak, and I think you guys get this sense, he already has sort of the veteran athlete speak down. Yeah. I mean, he really does. So, look, we've heard all the things about him, wise beyond his years, and obviously a tremendous amount of talent to go along with that. But he just does not seem fazed by any of it. And quite frankly, even beyond the clubhouse, I mean, you watch him work with the other catchers, and right now he's out there with Kyle Higashioka and Luis Campusano and Chandler Siegel and Kevin Plawecki. And my goodness, those catchers, I think they're the hardest working guys at spring training because they got to catch bullpens, they do their own fielding drills, and they got to hit too. But he's out there working with them, and certainly from everything I've seen, holding his own. I talked about the swing yesterday, how smooth that looks. So, look, everything you can see, the way he's working with guys and the way he presents himself when you talk to him and the way he's in that clubhouse, you have to be really impressed. It just does not seem like a 17-year-old. And that's like the thing that just boggles the mind. He's 17. But when you're up close with him, you you don't get that sense at all. He's really, really impressive.
Talking to Sammy Spring Training here on Ben and Woods this morning. And Sammy, one thing we know what we can count on from you out at Spring Training. One thing you can count on from me out there is I'm going to come back in a couple weeks. I'm going to sell everybody on Mike Schilt, because every time we go out to Spring Training, I end up falling madly in love with the managers. I just love to watch. I loved watching.
Our fourth manager.
Yeah,
out there.
You're right. I loved watching Jace Tingler run a practice. I came back. I was like, this guy may be the second coming. He's the best. It's the best, most entertaining, upbeat practice I've ever seen. Loved watching Bob Melvin work the practice field as well. Your impressions of our new skipper, Mike Schilt, and him getting his hands dirty with the guys?
Yeah, so far I've been really impressed. Look, I think he has a clear mindset in the way he wants this team to play, the identity he wants this team to have. I asked you, Darvish, about him yesterday, and you had really, really good things to say about Mike Schilt. And look, you ask a number of guys, and they've really spoken very positively about him. So, the thing I heard about Mike Schilt when he was hired was that he was somebody about the details, somebody that was really going to focus on fundamentals, and certainly get that impression even in the first couple of days of spring training. So, look, so far so good, and all the reviews I've heard from guys have been really, really good, and I've been impressed so far. So, I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see the way he guides this team, and so far so good. I mean, he's been as advertised, clearly pays a lot of attention to detail and fundamentals, and wants this team to, really find that identity early on, and have a good work ethic and all of it, which I'm sure every manager wants. Sure. But I think with Mike Schilt, it's pretty evident, and when you have different players talk about him, so far so good.
Talking to Sammy Spring Training, joining us from Peoria, day 2 of Spring Training, a little wrap up here, and I gave you the homework assignment. I definitely saw some Luis Campusano video that you posted.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to him? No,
I didn't talk to him. I didn't talk to him yesterday. I did talk to Mike Schilt about him, and Mike Schilt used the word intentional when talking about Luis Campusano a couple of times in his work ethic and what he's done. And one of the things that was really interesting that Mike Schilt talked about in regards to Luis was the way he's worked with some of the new faces on this pitching staff, and kind of the emphasis he's put on that, which is tremendous to hear. So it seems like Mike Schilt is happy with where he's at, his progress, the way he continues to work with pitchers, and hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to Luis in the next couple of days. And look, I think just in a general sense, when you talk about Luis Campusano, number one, it's a tremendous opportunity for him to be a starting catcher. And we can talk about defense and working with pitchers and all these different things, very important things that go into being a starting catcher and catching an entire staff. But I also think if he hits the way he hit towards the end of last year, I mean, it's the rest of it is comes along with it, because that's going to be such a key part to his game. And, look, I'll say this about Luis, too, and just watching him, and you could really see it when he hits. And one of the things I want to talk to him about when I get a chance to chat with him is his stance and his load. I mean, we didn't talk about it a ton last year, but that's one of the more unique loads and stances that you'll see in Major League Baseball right now. The way he, sort of starts open and then contorts, and that big leg kick. So to me, and I'm no hitting expert, but it looks maybe even more exaggerated in spring training right now.
That's when you do
I don't know if that's just.
I don't know if
and I don't know if maybe that's just him working on stuff. But I'd love to talk to him about it, because it really is unique, and it looks maybe even more so. I don't want to say that for sure.
He also looks like he's choked up on halfway up the bat. He's definitely trying something.
Yeah, he has been doing that. Now again, you don't, without talking to him, you don't want to go too crazy with what you see in a batting cage.
You should give him some tips on hitting. Oh, right. They love that. I would.
Look, I hope to talk to Luis, but Mike Schilt, said very good things about him yesterday, and obviously very active with the other catchers right now during spring training. But I'm going to work on talking to him a little bit more.
Tammy, you have so much on your plate. I don't want to put anything else on you right now. It's
have fun
insane.
out there, buddy.
Yeah, just try to Try to back off a little bit today.
Work
and
on that
we'll talk to you tomorrow.
kaleidoscope. Work on that kaleidoscope feature, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, and busy day, just so you know, in camp today. AJ Preller is going to speak with the media formally, so should have some stuff from that. And we've got a number of different pitchers throwing today. Yu Darvish, Yuki Matsui, Robert Suarez, Randy Vasquez, Tom Cosgrove, Pedro Avila. So a lot going on, a lot of good horizontal, vertical video.
Love it. Can't wait.
Good work, Sammy. Thank you very much.
All right, see ya.
Sam Levitt, live from Peoria, Arizona. You get all of his content. Just follow our social channels at 97.3 The Fan. Follow the Sammy Lev on, or is it Sammy Lev or the Sammy Lev?
Check it out.
Gotta check it out.
He recently created a
It's
new
just at
Instagram
Sammy
account.
Lev.
Sammy Lev MLB is where he's going to be putting a lot of the Instagram content.
And, of course, 97.3 The Fan has got it all as well. He's doing a fantastic job out there so far for us.
Always does.
Covering spring training. All right, we'll come back. I've got one more thought I want to add on the Luis Campusano discussion. We'll reset the show. Our Tier 1 tour is coming up. We're wrapping up the NL East today. So we'll give our order of finished predictions as well for that division as we continue on here. More Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. Good morning to all of you. Thank you to Sammy Spring Training, knocking it out of the park every single day.
By the way, all of Sammy's appearances live from Padres Spring Training are presented by your San Diego County Toyota Dealers Association. We make it easy.
That's exactly right, Benjamin. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. I completely just blanked on where I was going to go, and I had a
let me
direction.
finish with the
Let's
Luis
get your
Campusano
thought before you lose your mind. All right, go ahead. All right, I'm ready.
He's in a tough position, and I don't think anyone's really kind of spelled it out completely, but he is trying to establish himself as an everyday catcher.
Yes.
Toughest position to play in the big leagues as a young guy. And he's got a lot of promise. I mean, he would be the top catching prospect on a lot of teams in Major League Baseball, and someone that fan bases would be extremely excited about. But that's pressure. That's pressure on him to perform, and the expectations are going to be higher this year now that, veterans are gone, and it's his job, and he's got to do all this. But you've also got this kid
right behind you
that is
nipping at your heels,
waiting in the wings. And, we saw the reporting yesterday on Ethan Salas. There are people in the Padres organization that think he could make his debut even this year in September, like as a September call-up, and compete for an actual job next season. So Luis Campusano has got to be thinking in the quiet moments, I could go out and kill it this year. I could hit 280 with 25 home runs, solid defensively behind the plate, be an all-star type catcher. And I still got this guy, this kid, this all-world catching prospect breathing down my neck already, and I haven't even started my career basically in Major League Baseball. That's a tough spot to be in, yeah?
I mean,
who was the shortstop here before Fernando? Was it Freddie Galvis? He goes, yeah, I ain't playing shortstop here in a year or two.
Right.
Like, you just got to read the room.
You gotta. I mean, you cannot worry about who's breathing down your neck. You just can't. You got to keep looking forward. And the strides that he's made are so much more than off the field. I would love to get a chance to talk to him about what he's overcome to get there. I know he had some anxiety issues that were pretty debilitating early in his career, and he's come out of those pretty admirably. And now is going to be the guy. And look, at the end of the day, I think we should probably get into Kevin Acey's piece about Ethan Salas. He said he's going to start the season at Double-A, and I know nothing about when to bring a prospect up or when not to, and they always say the kid tells you when he's ready. It made me, it kind of blew my hair back when they said he could get called up this year. It really did. I went, come on, really? There's no way. There's no way. I mean, there's always a way. You could call him up. He could start opening day in Korea. He could. It's not in our hands, but it kind of blew my hair back a little bit when I heard that. So. As far as Campy goes, man, just keep doing your job. Keep doing what you're supposed to do.
Junior in the chat says, wouldn't it be good to have more than one catcher? Well, of course. Depth at a position is incredibly valuable, but at some point, someone has to play. Someone has to be the primary catcher, and you can't just have Campusano or Ethan Salas sitting as a backup while they could still be developing. Neither of them are going to be fully developed players by the end of this season. Campy, even though he's older, still has probably several years before he's really kind of at peak catching in baseball. And to do that, he's going to have to catch, the majority of the games. Yeah, you want to have a good backup. I think the only way, if everything goes well for the Padres, and knock on wood, so many things that could happen between now and then, but you could have a scenario where you have three catchers and Campusano can be more of a designated hitter at some point if he's really hitting great and still catches every once in a while. Salas could be your everyday catcher in a season or two, and you probably need a third catcher because if you're going to use a catcher as a designated hitter, they can't necessarily be a backup because you don't want to lose your DH if they have to go into the game.
Yeah, it'd be great if both of them were world beaters. That's the dream. That's what you want. Cadillac problems, as we talk about all the time. But as for now, if you're Campusano, I don't know that you need to be looking over your shoulder right now.
No,
and I don't know that you're necessarily, pissy about somebody getting the publicity because he is kind of a freak. Ethan Salas, watching some of his drills and stuff yesterday, you watch him and go, yeah, he looks right at home. He looks right at home back there. Knows what he's doing. Is learning. Works hard by all accounts. So I don't know how much panic Campy needs to feel right now. He's the man. Campy is the man. He needs to know he's the man, and I think he does. He's going to get the lion's share of the reps.
If he plays well. Catching is so valuable.
So valuable.
Even if he's not the man with the Padres forever, he'll be the man somewhere.
No doubt.
That's the other part of it. If Campusano's value is high enough, you will at some point consider putting him in a trade to address other needs and issues that the Padres have. They're not there yet. They need him this year badly, and they might need him for a couple of more years. But he's affordable. He's still young. He'll be that way for a few more years. That would be great to have that kind of problem where do we trade Campusano and make Salas our starter and we can get a huge haul for him, or do we keep them both and have Campy DH a little bit and have Salas behind the plate? Luxury problems potentially in the future for the Padres. They're not there yet.
No, they are not there yet. I can't wait to get to that day when we're arguing about who needs to be getting the bulk of the time behind the dish. Is it Campy? Is it Salas? Is it someone else? But we are not quite there yet. We've got a long way to go, I think, till we get to that point. But yeah, I don't, I'm not too worried about it right now. I expect big things from Campy this year.
Something we don't really talk about a ton is that give and pull that happens when you're want to be a good teammate. We as fans want somebody like Luis Campusano to be a good teammate and mentor and help out.
Sure.
And Ethan Salas, but it's human nature to have it at least somewhere in the back of your mind going, I don't want to help this kid too much. He's kind of coming for my job. Like you tell the story about your buddy who was in the minor leagues, and I don't remember who he was going up against, but he was the center fielder, and it was either him or the player that did get called
out. The guy
out.
that used to train me was a catcher for the Royals by the name of Tom Hill.
Catcher, that's what it was.
And it was him or Salvador Perez. And that was it. And those are their two guys.
Like, how do you balance that line of wanting to be a good teammate, help them out?
I've asked my guys that played in the minors and stuff before. I said, like you're playing with a guy and you're on a team, and your ultimate goal is to go out and win baseball games. But when the guy that's in for you gets 2 knocks, steals 2 bags, scores 2 runs, you're like, oh my God. And you're excited. You're supposed to be excited because your team won, but you're also like, break your leg. You know what I mean? Like, it's human nature to be like, I want the call.
You're sitting on the bench and you notice something in his swing that's just a little off. That could probably help him a ton. You're like, somebody else will tell him.
Yeah, it's the weird part of minor league sports because – think about this guy here to my left. The envy, like if we were all in the minors together and I got called up, you would die. You would die. You'd pack your bag and you would go home. There would be not one shred of you that was excited for me. Not one shred. Why did he get called up? It's not fair. It's true. It's true. I thought I'd been playing pretty good.
I would certainly be envious. That doesn't mean I didn't think you deserved it. There's a difference between bitter and envious.
Oh, you don't think you're bitter?
I don't think I'm bitter.
I don't think you're bitter.
I don't think I'm bitter.
I'm way more bitter than you.
I can definitely be envious.
Right.
You want things. You want success. And by the way, Campusano is not a placeholder until Ethan Salas. He should be better than that. The prospect level that he's at, just what we've seen from him on the big league level already tells me he's much more than just a placeholder. And I think there could be the perception when you see Salas and everyone talking him up so much that, Campy, you can do a nice job for a year or two until Salas gets here, and then the real catcher arrives. Campy is very much the real catcher. He's
very, very highly regarded
don't
as well.
undersell Luis Campusano just because you're excited about Ethan Salas.
And I wonder if Ethan Salas was part of the jump start that Campusano needed. To kind of get it together. We'll see. We'll see how the results on the field translate. But, I'd heard some stories about him in the minors just having the hardest time of dealing with being a professional baseball player, which is not uncommon at all. You throw in some severe anxiety on top of that. That's tough, man. It's a tough life to live. And you do wonder, okay, now it's time for me to get it together, and I'm going to, and he has, and I'm really rooting for that guy. Not that I'm not rooting for Ethan Salas, too. I think it's great. The better, the more you have, the better. But you can't say you wouldn't be mad if I got called up to the bigs.
No, I would be envious.
No, you'd be mad.
Not mad.
Mad.
Not mad. Envious.
I
think there's a difference.
He would be mad.
It's not mad. It's I want what you have. I wish I had it, but I'm not mad that you have it.
Save that clip. See, sorry. Like 6 months ago, when you lost all the weight, was that 6 months ago ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some guy in the chat was like, "Oh, Woods is mad that Ben lost weight." I go, "I'm not. I'm elated for him. I was elated, and I never once went. Did I ever come to you and go, all right, get me on the program? No, because I'm like, I have my own life to live, right?
There's not part of you though.
Not
Like, God,
one.
I wish I could drop that some weight too.
Not one.
Like he's already gone through it. He went through the hard parts. Now he's through the other side. That's a great place to be.
No, because I know exactly how I need to do it. I just don't. I know exactly how to do it, but I just choose not to.
You go to sdfatloss.com. That's how you do it.
Mrs. Woods said she wants some information on SD fat loss, by the way. So I told her you'd hook her up.
I can do my best.
Get her in the right place.
Yeah. But she can find out more by going to sdfatloss.com.
People in the chat are calling you Nancy Kerrigan, maybe.
I think you're misrepresenting me. I will admit to enviousness, but it's not.
Tanya Harding, not Nancy Kerrigan. Tanya Harding.
Are you Nancy then?
I guess I'm Nancy.
Give me your best why.
Why? Yeah, I'm Nancy. You're Tanya. You're like, oh, you're not going to the Olympics? Bang. It's true. Envy is different than mad.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my point.
What's the promo code, Ben, for SD Fat Loss?
There's no promo code right now.
All right.
Just go get your free consultation. Go online, check it out. If it's for you, I'll try to make some calls and see what we can do.
All right.
I mean, I would like to do that for every tier 1 out there. There's many who have signed up, who have already lost the weight. I love when I get those messages from tier 1s who say it's been working for me. I've dropped 30, 40 pounds already. Fantastic.
Gabe in the chat says a pro doesn't get jealous. Part of the nature of sports is growth. The teammates want each other to be their best. Yeah, right.
You would like to think that.
You would like to
You
think
would like
that.
to believe that. I just don't.
That's it. Just we are imperfect human beings, and if you're all slogging it out in the minor leagues, hey, and by the way, sometimes a guy gets called up, and you're better than him, and you're playing better than him, you're performing better than him. You don't tell me that guy's like, oh, congrats, bro, nice.
I
Yeah.
promise you, as bad as Trent Grisham played last year at times, when was it last year where he got benched? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Tatis moved over or Sugar was playing center. Trent Grisham was not rooting for that person to succeed.
You're absolutely.
If jealousness,
maybe in the big leagues, it's a little bit different.
I mean, maybe
because you always want to be on the field. That's the difference in us and them. They want the ball hit to them. They want to be up in those pressure situations. But when you're in the big leagues and you're making some money and you're semi-established and you're going through a rough slump, yeah, you don't want to see the guy go gangbusters and take Wally Pip you forever. And you're part of a team, and you're in a playoff race, you want to do what you can to help. But being a human and having human nature is you're going to be a little bit.
This is part of the business. I mean, when you go to spring training, there's the major league clubhouse, and then there's the minor league clubhouse right down the hall. And when you get the call up to go from the minor league, when you see what the big leaguers get,
it's about 20-foot difference.
It's not that far, but they're
a world away.
They're trying to foster that though, and you can call it envy or jealousy. They're to try to inspire people. Like if I work harder, I can get what they have, and I am envious of what they have. If you use that to fuel yourself,
That's right.
It's a great emotion. If you use it and become bitter and go, I deserve this, I deserve that, and you just become sour and bitter about it, obviously it's a negative thing and it's not going to help you. But yeah, you don't think Major League Baseball teams use that? There's a reason why Paulie said it's 20 feet away and it's a world apart at the same time. Yep. And they can see it, but they can't really touch it,
Bro, they can
until they get there.
You can smell it. You can hear it.
They could easily have put it on the other side of the complex.
You're like, what are they doing over there? I want to be a part of that.
You got to walk right by it every single day.
100%. That's exactly right. No, it's a good discussion.
All right, we're going to get to our Tier 1 tour when we come back. We'll wrap up the NL East. The Washington Nationals are our final team, and we'll give you our expected order of finish for the NL East as we continue our daily countdown team by team until opening day. Firing up the Tier 1 tour bus coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, they can't all be World Series contenders in our Tier 1 tour. Well, welcome back to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. We are counting down daily until opening day, taking a look at each Major League Baseball team in turn. And today we are wrapping up our look at the NL East with the Washington Nationals, who finished in last place last season. And quite frankly, Woods have not done a ton this offseason. I think Joey Gallo's probably the biggest signing that they've made in the offseason to add to their outfield, but they've not done a ton to make you think that they're ready to make a playoff run.
Nick Senzel is going to get a look with the Nats at third base as well. A long time, A.J. Preller has always been linked to Nick Senzel since we've been covering the team. It always seemed like he was going to be a Padre in waiting. I do get the sense, Benny, that a couple of their moves are which is not uncommon, to see what they can do and maybe flip them at the deadline. They do have a decent little core of players, though, Ben. As you know, C.J. Abrams had an okay year for them last year. He set the team record for most stolen bases in a season. He's going to have another year under his belt. He'll be the starting shortstop. They got the guys that can play. Joey Meneses can play, and Lane Thomas had a breakout year last year. Really, really good outfielder for them. Of course, got James Wood. He's going to be a guy that they got from the Padres that will be looking out of spring training to make the team potentially. But he's a player, man, and he's got a big, big stick too. So we'll see what happens with them. They've got innings eater Patrick Corbin leading the rotation.
The pitching staff is definitely the weakness of this team. Yep. Mackenzie Gore, they're hoping that he takes another step forward. But when you look at the Fangraphs projected ERAs, their staff of Josiah Gray, Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, Patrick Corbin, and Trevor Williams, most of them are projected around 5 ERAs for the season. McKenzie's the best at 4.23. And then the bullpen, they only have one guy projected under a 4 ERA in their bullpen at Hunter Harvey at 3.73. That has got to be in the running for the weakest pitching staff top to bottom in Major League Baseball. This team is going to give up a lot of runs this year, and they, quite frankly, don't have the offense to compete when they're going to be giving up as many runs as you would expect them to give up.
Yeah, everyone's waiting for Dylan Cruz to make his Major League Baseball debut. He is an absolute stud starting pitcher for them. He's probably a year away. I think he was just drafted last year along with Skeens for Pittsburgh. Those two guys, I mean, I can't wait to watch him throw. He's going to be great. So there was a blog about the Washington Nationals, and it basically said banking on 25, punting on 24. And I think, can they improve? They were they played a little above their heads last year. We were talking about it before the show, and there was a time it was like, well, these guys are putting it together a little bit.
There was a time when they had a better record than the Padres,
right,
by a game or something, and
That's right.
they got all their prospects, and now they got a better record than the Padres too.
Yeah. So listen, as tough as it's probably been there, they do have their World Series championship that still flies. But think about the players that they've lost over the years. It is a staggering a semblance of superstar players, and you think about some of the bad luck they've run into as well. And which is the case for a lot of teams. I think if you're a Nationals fan, you're like, okay, yeah, we'll suffer through some bad baseball, but we got some good building blocks there. They do.
Yeah, when people say, the Padres are rebuilding, this is what a rebuild.
This is more of a rebuild
looks like.
Padres, I would say, are retooling.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between the two organizations. So, as we look at our projected standings, I think it's pretty clear that the Nationals are at the bottom of the pack in that division.
I had that as well.
Does anyone think that anyone's going to take over the Braves as the best team in the NL
I got
East?
them kind of running away with it.
So, yeah, it's kind of the three spots in the middle then between the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Mets. And that was the order they finished in last season, with the Marlins surprising everyone and picking up a playoff spot, with the Mets disappointing with their huge payroll like the Padres last year and finishing under 500. Will that be the same order of finish this year, or with the Marlins changing general managers and not, making Any big moves here in the offseason? Will they take a step back this year and fall to 4th in the division?
I honestly think if you flip-flop Mets and Marlins, that's kind of where I have it. I think it's going to be a race for the bottom between the Marlins and the Nats. I do. I think those two teams. But I have if I got to write it down in stone, I got the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, the Marlins, the Nats. But I think the Marlins and Nats could duke it out for last place.
It's interesting because I agree with you, and I think the Mets, even though they have, like the Padres, slashed payroll this offseason, they still have really good
They've
players.
got some good
and
players.
They should probably be better than they were last season.
I think it's the arms, though.
They don't have a ton of arms, but like the Padres, I think the Padres will have a better record this season than they did last season, despite all the moves. And I think the Mets will as well. No one says you're crazy when you say the Mets are going to be improved this year despite slashing payroll. But when you say it about the Padres, I think you get the side eye. I don't know if that's just because they're the Mets and people are more inclined to believe that they're going to be better. But
what have the Mets done that would lead you to believe that, what have the Mets done historically that would lead you to
nothing. But I'm telling you, there seems to be a different perception between the Mets and the Padres, who are in very similar situations right now.
Very similar. We talked to Casey Stern last week, and I said they're basically on parallel lines right now, and I think there are a lot of similarities between those teams. But I also don't see the Padres finishing second in the division either. So I think the Marlins are going to take a step back just because of the personnel they lost. Sandy's going to be out for the whole year.
Marlins finished with the exact same record as the Arizona Diamondbacks last year.
Crazy.
Made the playoffs, 84 wins. Obviously, they didn't have the postseason run. Do we all believe in the Diamondbacks so much more because they got hot in October?
Well, and they've improved, though.
They have improved, obviously. But like last season, they were the exact same team.
Yep.
They were essentially the surprise on each coast that won 84 games and snuck into the playoffs as a wild card team. And the Diamondbacks went on this run, and because of it, decided to invest more money, players, let's go for it. We got postseason money, the great run. Had the Marlins gotten hot at the same time, and they had been the team that was in the World Series, would we have seen a completely different strategy in the offseason? Who knows?
My man David J. just DM'd me and goes, Dylan Cruz breaking out as a pitcher would be great because he's an outfielder.
That would be impressive.
That would be very impressive. Lost my mind. Who am I thinking of?
Their prospect pitchers? Or are you thinking of...
Who was I thinking of? I said Skeens. I know he was the number one, and Cruz was two. He's an outfielder, not a pitcher. That's my fault. Sorry, David.
Try to see if there's any names that I recognize
I guess
in there.
not. I thought they had a stud pitching prospect. Well, whatever. I've lost my mind this morning. It's fine. Not the first time, won't be the last. I'm glad for David J., though.
Yeah, we don't have to be. We don't have to be the best
perfect.
prognosticators in this job.
You should know the positions.
Fair enough. I didn't correct you.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
I'll own that one as well.
I'll wear this one.
All right, that is the end of the NL East. We will move on to the NL Central. We're going NL Central or AL East next week.
Who do we got?
Fire up the. We got the graphic here with all the teams. So when we, not next week, tomorrow, we will get to the New York Yankees. So we'll move over to the AL East, and we'll go through the 5 teams in the American League East.
I hope Skip's not listening to that. I picked him maybe to finish last. I did pick him to finish 4th, but they've lost a tremendous amount of talent.
I've got them taking a step back, but it's a pretty big gap between 4th and 5th place for me.
The Nats,
yeah,
and Dylan Cruz, their star pitcher.
With the one thing that the Marlins have that the Nats don't have, Skip Schumacher.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. The Skip effect is a big one. Big one. Thank you, David, for your correction. Idiot.
All right, let's take a time out. We'll reset, get our brains right, try to for the last 90 minutes of the show. We have more Padres content from yesterday we want to get to. What do we expect A.J. Preller to say? Nothing, obviously, but how will he say his nothing when he speaks in 90 minutes? You will hear it here on 97.3 The Fan. Samuel will have all that content for you. Tune in to Annie and Elston, Gwen and Chris, but we can do our kind of prognostications of what it's going to sound like coming up here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. pre- and post-game show host, Jenny Kavnar, who will make history this season because she has just been announced as the new play-by-play announcer, the number one play-by-play television announcer on NBC Sports California for the Oakland/Las Vegas/Sacramento/Salt Lake City A's.
Yep.
Now, I think people are going, why on earth would you go work for that team right now? She's the first female to ever get this job ever.
Awesome.
This is huge news. This is an absolute can't-miss opportunity. She has done some play-by-play for the Rockies over the last few years, kind of been a fill-in and done some of their, pre- and post-game show hosting on television and occasionally gotten to sit in the big chair and done a great job. But this is the first time a woman has ever been the number one, like the Don Orsillo of the Oakland A's this season will be Jenny Kavnar, and that is awesome for her and very cool to see.
Honest question. Are you jealous?
Yes.
Envious. Yeah, see? All right.
But very happy for her, not in a bitter way. Also very happy for Jenny.
You would take the A's job.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's awesome for her.
I really like what I do
it.
here now,
Yeah.
even though I've always dreamed of doing play-by-play. I'm not getting it here with Don and Jesse in the seats that they're in right now.
No chance,
No,
buddy.
no really dream of that in San Diego
Well,
at the moment.
if you go Tanya Harding, you might have a chance.
I mean, even if you smacked them in the knee,
They can still
do their job.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm extremely happy for Jenny.
That's amazing, an amazing accomplishment. I am so. I'm so fascinated to watch. I've seen them doing some things this year, and I'm wondering what it's going to look like on opening day in Oakland. And for her, you don't worry about the things that you can't control, right? You just go in and do your job, do it to the best of your ability. You don't worry about the number of fans in the stands and things like that and the direction of the team. You just go in and do your job and do play-by-play, and she's really good at it. So I'm really happy for her as well.
So I got a text from Paul last night, and it was a clip from a Padres preview on MLB Network.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Paul's little caption says you can hear the disdain in his voice.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Who is it? And what did they say about the San Diego Padres? We'll get to that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Draft the Oil Change. A 15-minute instant draft the oil change. Well, the crash has been cleared from the 3 right lanes on westbound 8 near Fairmont. We're still seeing quite a bit of residual slowing there. On the coastline, southbound 5 before Cannon. Collision involving a couple cars. It's over to the right shoulder. Also traveling on the northbound 15 past Rancho Bernardo Road. There's a stalled SUV over to the right shoulder. Very narrow shoulder, so take it extra carefully. You might want to move over a lane if it's safe to do so. Up ahead before the 78. Got a collision. Everything's been moved over to the right shoulder. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So if you remember from the 2022 Wild Card Series postseason, Game 3, when Joe Musgrove shut down the New York Mets and pitched the Padres into the division series, had a bit of an incident in that game in which Buck Showalter had the umpires checking Joe for foreign substances. A lot was said about his shiny ears, and even though umpires didn't find anything wrong in that game multiple times, at least one member of the media, MLB Network, took a pretty accusatory stance toward Joe
And dug in.
Pretty
And dug in again.
pretty much tried and convicted him in the court of his public opinion.
They had the round table going later on. He goes, "So you think that Joe Musgrove cheated? You think the Padres were cheating?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do."
And everyone is entitled to their opinion, but we're also entitled to think that person is wrong. I'm surprised he dug in so much, considering, I don't know if he had something against the Padres or not.
He's also
but
a Mets fan.
Since then, Brian Kenny of MLB Network, you kind of watch him with a little closer eye if you're a Padres fan. And yesterday, MLB Network posted a clip. They were going through, obviously, their previews of different teams right now as they get ready for spring training with the Padres reporting. Brian Kenny had some thoughts. Now, Paul, you think this was a bit biased or anti-Padres in its sentiment?
Well, let's listen in,
Okay.
and you tell me.
Padres, one of the most confounding teams of all time. I've written about them a ton on MLB Now. Let's talk about this year's Padres. What's left, and can they still be a playoff team? Let's do a little digging in. The Padres' bid for being a super team certainly fell flat, but they have the remnants of a possible playoff team still. They've gone from a $249 million payroll to about $160 million as it stands now. That's going from number 3 in payroll to number 13. But you should still be able to win at that level of spending. And their PECOTA projection, Baseball Prospectus, has them at 79 wins. That's almost 500, not that far from a playoff spot. Here's a big part of the problem. We were just talking about this here. Anthony brought it up. It's not just Blake Snell and Josh Hader gone. It's Snell, Hader, and Seth Lugo, and Michael Wacha, and Nick Martinez. That's 627 innings of a 2.88 ERA gone. Yes, the rest of the pitching staff had an ERA of 4.39. The unheralded pitchers had very good seasons last year, most of them, except for Blake Snell, hidden in obscurity. So here's a theme. It's up to the remaining stars to perform at a high level. Joe Musgrove had a 3.05 ERA last year. That's good. But he got hurt, and he threw just 97 innings. Yu Darvish pitched just 136 innings, had an ERA over 4.5. That's below league average. And Michael King, picked up in the Juan Soto trade, joins the rotation this year. King had a 2.75 ERA for the Yankees last year, but he was primarily a reliever, started only 10 games. To expect a full year of starting excellence, that's expecting a lot. So that's 3 pitchers that the Padres will need to pitch well. All 3 pitch well and pitch a lot of innings. Now, I may have mentioned a Juan Soto trade. You probably knew about that. But the Padres lose Soto from what was already a top-heavy team. That is now much more top-heavy. Take a look at the Padres' depth chart sometime. They will likely have below league average hitting at left field, center field, first base, catcher, and DH. That's 5 of the 9 spots in the lineup below league average. And yet, that means the superstars must hit. Not just field, not just be good all overall. They need to hit like superstars. Think about this. The big 3, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, will be making more than $90 million in salary in 4 years.
4 years,
$90 million.
4 years. Like, we're looking at 2028 already? Like that? Yes. That's going to happen in 4 years, Brian. It's not happening now. Right?
I'm not.
Look what are the Dodgers going to be spending in 10 years, Brian? I mean, is this what we're doing? Like, who cares? It just didn't make any sense to me.
I would say, though, that the bulk of what he said,
it's probably true.
I can't really object to anything
listen to
that he said.
The gratuitous.
More than a lot of full teams for 3 guys. That's down the road, but they make a lot now, too. Manny Machado hurt most of the year. He's a gamer, excellent fielder. His hitting number's the lowest in 4 years. Tatis made a tremendous transition in right field. He was a great fielder, but his hitting was nowhere near the levels of what he did in his first 3 years with the Padres before he failed a drug test. And Xander Bogaerts did hit. He had a 120 weighted runs created plus. Very good for a shortstop. Played 155 games, but that was his lowest weighted runs created plus in 6 years. His production was good. I want to be fair, but they're going to need better. Here are their numbers, and I realize all this. Besides Ha-Seong Kim, who had a great year, besides Kim, they might be the only above league average hitters on this team. These 3 and Ha-Seong Kim. So the weighted runs created plus for Machado and Tatis, you see it right there. 114, 113, that's not going to do it. It's got to be in the 150 range, MVP level, not in the teens. They've both done that before. You can hope for a bit better from Bogarts. 120 is not bad, so it's an oversimplification. I get it. But the stars need to hit like stars for the new look, trimmed down, cheaper Padres to have a shot. And
yeah, I mean, he's not, me 5 years ago, kicking the chair across the room,
right.
But he's not wrong, really. At the end of the day, he definitely has a little bit of a thing.
I thought he took a shot at Tatis.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that's people are going to do that.
And he just sounded, I mean, for somebody who's supposed to be an impartial league network host, he seemed way too happy to talk about the failures of last season.
Yet he acknowledged them still as a potential playoff team, which is not something you've gotten from every corner of predictions in Major League Baseball this year.
Little campy disrespect in there as well, I think. I think Campusano has the ability to be a better than league average hitter. But, hey, listen, look, if I'm the Padres, none of this crap gets to me. You were supposed to win the World Series last year. You didn't. And you're going to get this stuff until you overperform and outperform what your expectations are. They did not do that last year. It's why I'm less apt to beat my chest and because I think I'm feeling much of the same way, but without taking gratuitous shots at Tatis for something 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. If he's a Met fan, I mean, I don't know of a team that had bigger expectations last year than the Mets, and they're paying $180 million or something in luxury tax alone. Like, every team is going to go through its ups and downs and make their mistakes. But if I'm the Padres, I hear this stuff and go, all right, yeah, we got a lot of people to prove wrong. And I think we're in that camp too.
Yeah, well, I expect all three, the big three of Bogaerts, Tatis, and Machado, to put up better numbers this year than they did last year.
Yes.
A second season in San Diego, a little more healthy, hopefully for Xander. We know Tatis should be, just on the upswing based on everything we've heard, and the health for Machado should be big as well post-surgery. I think it's unreasonable to ask them all to be, top 10 MVP guys. That would be incredible, and they have the potential to be, but to have them all, everything go right, everything kind of has to go right to have an MVP-type season, to have them all, not stumble at all, have a bad month or two, that's a little much to ask. So to compensate for that, the Padres are going to have to be a little bit better in some of those other positions that Brian Kenny talked about. Campusano, I think it's fair. You can certainly see him as being at least a league average, if not above average, offensive production catcher this season. Jake Cronenworth needs to bounce back. He doesn't have to be the best, most productive first baseman, but he can't hit 210 with very little power. He's going to have a bounce back season, and then you're going to have to get numbers, whether it's at the beginning of the season or not. Overall, you're going to have some of these prospects come up in Merrill and Marcy and give you some numbers at some point. Doesn't have to be Rookie of the Year. Doesn't have to be All-Star. You're not replacing All-Stars. Trent Grisham did not have a good year last year that you're trying to replace. So you don't have to put up 300 average and, 850 OPS to improve in some of those areas. But you're going to need some surprising production somewhere. Guess what? Every team gets surprising production from somewhere over the course of the season. Will it be enough for the Padres? We'll find out. When you combine it all together, there's certainly the possibility that it will be.
That's the funny thing about last year. We didn't really get surprising production from anyone on the offense. Kim. But he's been on the ascent.
Gary Sanchez
coming in and doing what he did. But, as far as your everyday regular guys, other than Ha-Seong Kim, as you make the point, other than that, you got below what you expected around the diamond. And so, knowing baseball,
I would say Soto was good.
Yeah, I mean, Soto was, but it wasn't surprising. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't. Nobody lit the world on fire.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody, even Soto, was kind of below where he had been in his career. Everybody, really, except for Ha-Seong Kim. So you got to expect some of that's going to turn around. I mean, something's got to give. I can't imagine.
I said that all year last year.
I can't imagine. Yeah, but new manager, new vibe, new everything. Some of that's got to change. It just has to. It's the law of averages. It's the law of baseball that nothing makes sense on paper. And again, we're used to winning the offseason here.
I don't disagree with you. It's just we said regression to the mean a million times last year.
Sure, but that's a different team with a different skipper in a different time. And this is a new season, new skipper. There's going to be some new personnel, and you can't. Making prognostications at the beginning of the season is just dumb. We've learned that so many times. It's so hard to pick a winner. Anybody have the Rangers, Diamondbacks in the World Series? Anybody on the planet? Nope. Brian Kenny, all these experts, anybody have the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the World Series last year?
Couple minutes here before the top of the hour. What's the headline that comes out of AJ speaking to the media? Even if he says nothing, which I would expect him to say almost nothing, there will be a headline that comes out of it because Kevin Acee has to write something, Dennis Lin has to write something, Sammy's going to post something. So there will be a narrative and a headline that comes out of it. I'm guessing the focus is going to be on how much are you going to rely on the prospects. And AJ won't really say. He's going to once again talk about how, we're going to take a look at everybody during camp here. This is a great opportunity for some of our young guys, but he's not going to paint himself into a corner and say, we need Jackson Merrill to step up and be ready to go at the start of the season. We're going to need Jacob Marcy to be ready soon, early in the year. He's not going to say any of that. He's not going to commit and say, no, Jurickson Profar is going to be our everyday outfielder. He's not going to say that either. he won't commit to anything, but someone's going to have to write and say something about his news conference later this morning. What do you think it's going to be?
It's a great question, man. I think that is going to be, the first thing that they ask him about is, all right, well, I mean, the other thing is, do you still have money to spend, and are you actively looking to spend it?
He won't say that either.
He said,
yeah, we're always looking to improve.
Always looking to improve the ball club. But he said last week, I mean, if we match up on a deal, well, I mean, you got to match up on something at some point because Matt Batten's your DH as of today. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to have to match up on something in the foreseeable future, in the next few days, I would imagine. So I do wonder if there are any trades cooking or anything like that. Obviously, he's not.
I'm sure there are. He's not lying when he says he is constantly looking to improve the ball. I trust that of AJ. He is constantly looking for ways to improve the ball club. I don't know that there's a lot of realistic ways to do that at the moment.
I think what's weird for us and what's weird for Padre fans right now is remember him adding last year? You're like, why did we just go get Rugi Odor? We didn't even need him. And it was just like, boom, boom, this guy. He was, and it leads to speculation that, the purse strings are much, much tighter.
It's no speculation. That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
They're
much tighter. He can't be quite as free-flowing with adding players. He's got to be more selective this year.
He was spending like me last year. Now he's spending like Ben.
Here's the thing to remember about spring training. A trade that's not available today might be available tomorrow.
Correct.
Because a team maybe, we don't really match up. And all of a sudden they get an injury, and all of a sudden that Padre that they was being offered last week that you didn't want, all of a sudden looks kind of attractive, and now there's a match to be made. Or a young guy plays really well in spring training, and we don't have a roster spot. We're gonna have to drop someone off our roster. Let's trade him to the Padres. They need an outfielder. We can probably give him up pretty cheap because we were going to waive him anyway at this point. Trades become available during spring training based on how players perform, what injuries happen. So sometimes you do have to be patient and let all the moves play out before you make your final decisions. There will be a roster. There will be some sort of move that AJ makes during spring, probably at the end of spring. Might be big, might be small, but he's not done with his team yet.
Yeah, it can't look this way for opening day.
But he won't tell us what it is.
Correct.
Today. He won't give us a hard payroll number. He won't give us any tangible projections about his team in 2024. That's how it works. For the tangible projections, we look to Paul Reindl, the Reindl Report. Headlines coming up next. Final hour of Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. He's alive. We knew he was alive. We saw him in the offseason quite a bit, actually. He was here in San Diego, then playing for his Dominican team in the Winter League. But he is alive in Peoria, Arizona. Our Sammy Levitt just reporting. Fernando Tatis Jr. has arrived to Padres spring training 2024. 3 days earlier than he had to.
It's over for the league, my friends. Excited to see him
You can
back.
tell his commitment and dedication based on the fact that he didn't have to be there until Friday, but he's there today.
Give me all the eyewash right now.
Padres are winning the World Series, obviously.
I need all of the eyewash.
Manny and Tatis are both there. Yeah. How can they possibly be stopped? Did you know that most teams haven't even started their spring training yet?
Our guys are already getting work in.
And the Padres already have position player stars who are there working out. It's curtains for the rest of baseball. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but my prediction is there. I would think that the teams that arrive earliest at spring training always have the best seasons, and the ones that start their spring training latest because they practice less have the worst seasons.
Yeah, that follows. I don't have any info to back that up, but it sounds good to me.
We'll get the metrics guys on that. Report date versus record.
I love it. I'm glad he's there.
How the impact is. But no, it's good. Good that he's there. And
don't need any of that garbage going around this. You do not need any of that garbage. Like, where is he? Is he not there yet? Is it not important to him? Like that, you can put the kibosh on all that right now.
And Robert Suarez was there yesterday. He was a day late, but got there in time. So now we're just waiting for Wandy Peralta. He's working on visa issues. Yep. And Luis Patino, I think, was also a late arrival due to some visa issues. His seem to have cleared up. Should be there any moment now if he's not there already. And then Jurickson Profar has not arrived yet.
Well, it's not official yet, I don't think.
He has to pass a physical before it's official. Does he have to have the physical in Curacao? Does the Padres need to send someone there? Or I don't know how that works. Because apparently you need to have a contract signed before you can get a visa to work in the United States. I'll admit, I have no idea how visas work or what they are, other than, like Visa and MasterCard and American Express. And I really don't even know how much those work, pretty much. Just you get a bill every month. But yeah. But the actual, the visa for, foreign workers in the United States, no idea how that works.
Yeah, same.
But more Padres now in spring training camp. All right, let's get some headlines from Paulie.
Let's do it, Paulie.
Report. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Start off a couple of notes from the Super Bowl still lingering from Sunday night. We'll start with the broadcast itself. Not really a surprise that Super Bowl 58 just a couple of days ago was the most watched telecast in history. Now, that happens often with the Super Bowl. One-upped itself just from last year, so that is now number 2, last year's Super Bowl. But I went and looked. The top 10 most watched telecasts in history are all Super Bowls.
Yep. Woods, since you're of my age, for many, 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 many years, what was the most watched television broadcast of all time?
The MASH finale.
The MASH finale, February 28th, 1983. 105, almost 106 million viewers. And that record stood through our entire youth growing up. The 80s, the 90s, the 2010s. Nothing could top the MASH finale on CBS. But now 10 Super Bowls have now knocked it out of the top 10.
It's number 11
of all time.
I've got the top 30 most watched broadcasts in history. MASH is the only non-Super Bowl.
That's incredible.
29
Super Bowls and the MASH finale. But when you compare to
MASH was a good show, but
is it worth that?
I don't know that it really belongs in that list of 29 Super Bowls in one episode of MASH.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and I was like, I missed it. It wasn't for us. It was like for our dads. You know what I mean? I don't remember my dad watching a lot of MASH either. Did your dad watch MASH?
I don't really remember. I don't think so. I mean, again, we were very young when it was a finale. I mean, everybody's watched MASH. I watched plenty of reruns growing up because there was nothing else on.
It's a good cast. Alan Alda.
Yeah. Clever,
right?
witty. Yeah, Alan Alda was
Alan
Alda.
Yeah.
He was he was one of the surgeons
The
in the
medic or
mobile Army surgical hospital.
Yeah.
And it was set in the Korean War,
Was
I
it
believe.
Korean or Vietnam?
I think it was the Korean War. And they would, treat GIs who came in with surgery, with quips, some pathos. There was some laughs, and there was some emotion behind it, though. It was pretty groundbreaking at the time. But, yeah, it's so weird to look at the list of the most watched television programs of all time. And they are all Super Bowls, except
MASH.
one episode of one sitcom in 1983.
Yeah. So last year's Super Bowl,
Korea, yeah.
Super Bowl 57 on Fox had 115 million people watching it. This year's Super Bowl did surpass it, and pretty significantly. 123.5 million people tuned in for the Super Bowl. I think you credit Taylor Swift a little bit.
Sure.
I think there were a lot of Swifties watching the Super Bowl. I think I also would give credit to Nickelodeon. I watched a little bit of the Nickelodeon broadcast. It wasn't for me. I don't have young children, but I actually have a buddy that was a writer for that broadcast. He was part of the Nickelodeon broadcasts they did throughout the year. I think they did like 2 or 3 of them. And then I saw a bunch of clips going around viral after the Super Bowl. It looked awesome. I think if you are a parent and you have small children, that's a hell of a way to take in the Super Bowl and get them excited about the game.
Honestly, man, I saw so many people tweeting about how their 14-year-old daughter, wanted to watch the Super Bowl, how my fiance, first time ever, she asked when the Super Bowl was. I think Taylor Swift had a lot to do with it, love or hate her,
What was
whatever.
the commercial that had the dad that got his daughter the football jersey, had 13 on it,
Yeah.
and she was like doing her homework or something, wasn't planning on watching the game, and then she came out,
It
sat
brought
next to
them
her
together.
dad
I have no idea
on
what
the
it was
couch.
for,
I don't
but-
remember what the ad was, but it was very touching.
Oil changes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Sandwiches, right.
It's you've heard the term grooming in a negative sense, but the NFL is essentially grooming new viewers for their sport. Young viewers, female viewers.
That is another way to use.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create an unending stream to make sure that someday they knock MASH out of the top 30 as Super Bowls continue.
MASH
to
is going
just
to be like
pile up.
what's that? The Dolphins. What year did they would go perfect?
1972,
72.
Miami Dolphins.
They're going to be hanging on every. We're still in the
top
20. Somebody said in the chat. Jong said, "Bro, as soon as the MASH theme song was over, I walked up to the TV to turn the knob to change the channel."
By the way, after MASH, just to go down a little memory lane of the non-Super Bowl most watched telecasts, the next one is the Who Shot JR episode of Dallas.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
The finale to Cheers.
It was a dream.
The finale to Cheers was number 4. The 1994 Winter Olympics ladies singles figure skating final. We were talking about Nancy and Tanya earlier.
It's like the third Nancy Kerrigan reference today. I was not
And then
expecting
there
that.
was a TV movie called The Day After on ABC in 1983. I think it was like an apocalyptic movie. Roots Part 8 on NBC in 1977, and the Seinfeld finale in 1998.
Interesting.
There's nothing in this century.
Yeah,
Super
sorry to
Bowls.
spoil that Dallas, that spoiler for you. It was a dream. It was a dream.
Yeah.
It was all a dream.
All right, we'll move on. Another note from the Super Bowl.
No, that wasn't the dream.
Yeah,
Bobby dying, that was the dream, and then he woke up. He was in the shower the next day, but JR actually got shot.
Oh,
he didn't
get
die.
shot.
though.
You're right.
He didn't die, but he
didn't die.
actually got shot.
But it was a cliffhanger.
That was Larry Hagman. That was a cliffhanger,
That's
so
right,
everyone
you're
tuned
right.
in to see who shot JR.
That's right.
To start the next season, I
Bobby
believe.
dying
but
was a
Bobby
dream.
dying, that was Patrick Duffy's character.
Dude, you're
And there was all the
absolutely right.
outrage that he
Could
was
I
off
get
the
more
show,
stuff
so
wrong
they
today?
they erased that
Possible?
season, and it was all a dream. She woke up and he was in the shower in the morning.
He's
and
like,
was like,
"What?"
"What is that? You're dead." No, you dreamed that. Erase that last season.
I'm missing everything. Just get me out of here.
You lived in Dallas. You should know all the
I
plot
should.
points.
I watched every episode. Go ahead, Paulie. Sorry.
No, I mean, if you have any more 1980s
Stuff to get wrong? I don't know.
Okay. We'll move on. The Super Bowl. This was a little interesting, I thought. So Alicia Keys was, I thought she was great, but she didn't get off to a great start.
See, I missed this entirely.
So Usher finished one of his songs, and he has the song My Boo with Alicia Keys. She was spotted there throughout the week for rehearsals, so you knew she was going to be involved in the halftime show. And the camera panned over, and she had the long red flowing dress sitting at the piano. And before she got into her song with Usher, she sang one of her songs, and she got off to a really rough start.
Some people
man, damn it.
Does answer the question of whether it was all pre-tracked.
So I missed that.
She
so
picked it
that's
up.
why I asked if are they lip syncing?
Now she cleaned it up, and she ended up crushing it.
Want it all.
Rough start.
Man.
Interesting though, if you missed the halftime show and you wanted to go back and watch it, NFL or Apple,
they cleaned it up.
They altered it.
They cleaned
because
it up.
right now on YouTube, if you watch the halftime show, again, here's how it sounded live.
Can you go back
Some people want it all.
Man.
And here's how it sounds now.
Some people
Wowzer, dude. Can you go back and clean up all my messes from today? That'd be great.
No.
Eliminate them from the podcast.
Dylan Cruz, outfield prospect for the
I will
Washington
kill you
Nationals.
in your sleep.
I thought it was interesting that they made that move. I don't know if she wanted that done, if the NFL wanted it done, but yeah, they completely altered it.
Damn, they fixed it. Some people want it all.
Some people.
Oh, poor thing. God.
Some people.
That first note is
Makes me like her more.
Oh,
not
me
less.
too. Yeah,
Oh,
makes
no,
me like
it
her
was-
way more.
She was phenomenal.
That song is so good too.
All right, and we will wrap it up. Do you guys like Taco Bell out there?
Oh, no.
We know Woods does.
You know I do.
Yeah.
He's still digesting it from Super Bowl Sunday.
Not sit great.
Taco Bell had a 2024 menu reveal. It was kind of like an Apple, like every September or August or something like that. They do the big Apple showcase, and here's the new iPhone and all of that. And Taco Bell released a bunch of new menu items, including they are bringing back, I believe, the crispy chicken nuggets. They're having a cheesy chicken crispinata. And I actually have a graphic here of all of them. I'll throw it up if you're watching on the YouTube chat. What else is coming? We have the Mountain Dew Baja Blast Gelato.
Ben is the look on his face right now.
Which I would totally try.
Disgust.
I mean, we had this discussion yesterday. Paulie got the wrong DoorDash order, and the guy from Buffalo Wild Wings ordered cheesecake and a burger. If I want Taco Bell, which is rare, I want Taco Bell,
Not nuggies?
not chicken nuggets and gelato.
I don't know. I might try that gelato. The cheesy enchilada dipping taco. It's like quesadilla inspired. It's a grilled cheese dipping taco. And then they have the dulce de leche Cinnabon Delights. And then they have collaborated as well with some brands, including, I think this was a thing in the past, the Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme. A Crunchwrap with Cheez-It, a layer of Cheez-Its in the middle.
One big giant Cheez-It in the middle, right? It's just one like... Oh, no. Well, yeah, no, I think they're connected
just
there.
one
I think it's
giant
one
Cheez-It?
giant Cheez-It.
I think the only thing I like the gelato a lot. I like Baja Blast. I had a large one.
What again is the... I've never tried Baja Blast.
There's
What's
no-
the
there's-
flavor?
There's no.
I don't know
They
how to
looked
even
it up.
Blue
describe it.
raspberry of some
Yeah,
sort?
something
or
like that. It is. It actually
tropical.
when you drink it, I don't know. Like it doesn't taste great, but it works. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it.
Tastes like Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good.
The
But it's also not.
Taco Bell is teaming up with Salt and Straw, the famous ice cream company out of Oregon.
I thought that was a Brian Malarkey restaurant, Salt and Straw.
That's the ice creamery.
Oh,
yeah,
ice creamery.
local ice creamery.
They're making an ice cream chocolate taco made with waffle cones, cinnamon, ice cream dipped in chocolate, and topped with toasted brown rice. And then they have a few others as well, but a lot of new menu additions.
The
coming to
upscale
Taco Bell.
desserts are weird for Taco Bell. I mean,
Yeah, a little bit.
They had the cinnamon chip things for a long time.
That's all we had when we were growing up.
That's
We
all we
had
had.
one option:
Well,
was grody cinnamon chips. And they're like rendered fat dipped in cinnamon and sugar. You're like, the pork rinds with cinnamon. I'll take those. That's all we had growing up. That's all we had, Betty. Did you think about that? That's it. That's all we had.
Jeff in the chat says Baja Blast tastes like a blue marker smells.
Yeah, it's true. Blue Powerade and Mountain Dew mixed is what the Guzzinator says. It's good. It's good, but it's also not. It's weird. Can't really.
Would you try ice cream or gelato?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
I am not going to muster any outrage for the Aztecs not being in the top 25 again, but we will look ahead. They've got a big game tonight against Colorado State coming up, and then a fun topic I think we're going to have in our last segment. Is it okay to lie on a job application?
This blew me away this morning when I saw
with
this
like
video.
good intentions. Like you really want to do the job, you want to do a good job, but you have to exaggerate maybe some experience or skills to do so.
I mean, I don't know anybody that hasn't done that on their resume.
I'll be interested for Ben's take, somebody who's never done a job.
This is actually a Super Bowl related story.
It's Super Bowl related, yeah.
We'll get to all of that coming up with Ben and Woods back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Benny, this is little Foo Fighters right here. Foo Fighters. Did you see what Dave Grohl did? You see how he spent his Super Bowl Sunday? The mensch that he is.
Big Vegas party?
No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing a private show somewhere. No, the guy was in L.A.
So cool, man.
Smoked like 70 pork butts for the homeless people in L.A. Spent his, he's got his long hair tied up, and he's working his smokers out there.
Did he burn down his trash can?
He did not.
As well?
No, he knows
he
what
knows what he's doing.
He knows
Okay,
what he's
good.
doing. I just thought that was so cool,
That is cool.
man. Just he does that a lot, and he's not like, hey, look at me, here I am. Like he just goes and does it. It's really, really cool. So that's a good feel good story.
Woods tweeting 21 seconds ago, absolutely dog bleep on the air today. I'll be back tomorrow, stronger than ever. Are you leaving, or are you just?
No, this is our last segment of the day.
You just wanted to
be accountable.
Okay.
Just try to be accountable. Like this, listen,
You're not 100%.
I demand accountability.
You're still here, though.
I demand accountability from our
You're like
athletes.
Manny. You'll be in the lineup less than 100%.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'm not quite 100%.
Am I
either.
hurting the team though?
No,
by being
no. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. So,
Terrible
for
day.
the fourth time this season, the Aztecs spent 1 week in the AP Top 25.
Yeah.
Lost a game and then fell immediately out of the AP Top 25.
Indeed.
It's a predictable enough.
Every time.
A predictable enough pattern that none of us should be shocked at this point. If there was one thing that surprised me a little bit when the new rankings came out after our show yesterday, is now not a single team in the Mountain West is ranked in the top 25. Probably the best Mountain West conference in almost 2 decades, at least 15 years. And there is not one top 25 team, simply because they're all so kind of evenly matched and no one can really win on the opponent's home courts. They all suffer these same losses that San Diego State does. Utah State is 8-3. The next 6 teams all have 4 losses right behind them, a game or a game and a half behind Utah State. So they've all been dropped out of the top 25, including Utah State, Colorado State, New Mexico, Boise State. UNLV is in there as well with 4 losses. This conference is so close that Utah State is 8-3. UNLV is 6-4. They're currently in 7th place on the tiebreakers. But Utah State beat UNLV on a weird 5-point play at the end of the game where they hit a 3-pointer, but as they hit it, another guy committed a foul and was given 2 shots. They couldn't have possibly won that game.
So the shooter didn't get the foul called.
No, it was on the rebounder, like before the 3 went in. So they gave him both the 3 and the 2 free throws. So Utah State won that game. You switch that one play around, UNLV is in first place ahead of everybody else. That's how close the Mountain West has been.
Cannibalizing each other every game.
As I said yesterday, though, the other metrics say that right now San Diego State has the best net ranking in the conference at number 19, top 20 in the country, and that's the one they actually use for NCAA, seeding purposes, and that's a big part of the discussion for Selection Sunday. So Aztecs are still top 20 there. And this week, they've got 2 home opportunities. They win both of those games, they will be back in the top 25 next week because they both beat quad 1 wins. Colorado State is ranked in the top 30 right now in the net, as is New Mexico, who will be in town later this week. Tonight, it's the Rams. They lost 79-71 2 weeks ago at Colorado in Fort Collins. That was the game that they fell behind. It was like 15-2, like just like that. They came out really slowly, brutal. Fought all the way, all game long to get back in it. Took the lead with like 7.5 minutes to go, and then Colorado State called a timeout. Went on another run, and that was it. The Aztecs couldn't recover at altitude. So they've got this one circled. It's fresh in their minds. Definitely want to get some revenge on their home court tonight.
100%.
And they are currently, 6 points?
6 points.
Favorites over Colorado State in tonight's game. 6 o'clock tip-off on CBS Sports Network at Viejas Arena.
Another preferred win for the Aztecs tonight. You'd prefer if they win this game.
It is...
definitely upper tier preferred.
As I said, you have to hold serve on your home court.
Got to hold serve.
If you lose this one, I don't know that there's enough road games left to overcome a home loss.
It's not a must-win. Like if they lose tonight,
they'll still go to the NCAA tournament. Yeah, there's still a conference tournament. Again, there are no must-win games until March in NCAA basketball. But if you want to win the conference, it's kind of one you have to have tonight 100%. For sure. So
Is that
6
it,
o'clock
basketball,
tonight.
Ben?
Yeah,
All right.
that's it for basketball, Ben. Unless you really want me to dive into the NBA
I think
or
we're good.
anything else.
Break-
Clippers lost
could
to the
actually
Timberwolves last night.
Break a little early because we got this long
All right,
clip to play.
Yeah, we got a clip and a segment that we want to get to in our final segment. And the topic is essentially, is it okay to fabricate something on your resume or a job application to get a job you really want, like with good intentions? Like, I know I can do this job. I would be great at it. I will work my butt off to be good.
I think you set it up like, what job out there exists for you where you would lie and say, yeah, oh, yeah, I can do that.
This one.
Yeah.
That is coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So when we first teamed up for our original radio show at the other station, did you embellish your resume at all in terms of your sports radio experience?
No.
To land this gig?
No, I did not embellish it. Okay. They didn't want me for my sports takes. May come as a surprise to many of you. There's enough sports guys in this town, they thought. So they paired me with a real sports guy. Many say I have ruined your career. Many say I've made your career flourish. The X Factor.
I tend to lean toward the latter. I also would say that Woods has some terrific sports takes.
Yeah, listen. I just don't get all excited about them like most sports guys do.
That's true.
Not going to hear me beating my chest
That's
if
true.
I got something right about the Aztecs 2 days ago. I don't care enough to, so it's a little different, you know. And the other thing is, too, the knock on me is like, well, he doesn't know hockey or NBA. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you I do either, which makes me different than any other sports guy that you've ever heard. I'm like, yep, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
This is a job, though, where there's a bit of a fake it until you make it.
My whole career. Fake it till you make it.
But there are other jobs that you can't necessarily fake it till you make it.
Surgeon.
I don't know. Didn't you see?
Pilot. I'll figure it out.
Catch Me If You
Catch
Can.
Me If You Can. He did both. He was a doctor and a pilot.
Fake it until he made it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
lawyer.
Let's say traditionally, there have been people that have like practiced law without a law degree. Like it's a thing that's happened before. They've fabricated paperwork and et cetera, et cetera. Didn't pass the bar and went in and acted as a practicing attorney. I think it's probably happened in every walk of life.
Give you half of this donut. You tell me how you passed the bar. Remember Tom Hanks asking him, and what was the big reveal?
Yeah.
Studied his butt off.
I studied my ass off for it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Passed the bar exam.
There are those people, man.
Louisiana or wherever it was that he was a lawyer. So there is a situation like this from Super Bowl Sunday.
This is incredible, man.
And we are going to play some audio for you after traffic here, and then discuss whether this person was totally in the wrong, partially in the wrong, how we feel about what she did. Coming up next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Guys, we're wrapping things up on a pretty busy note here. Got a collision on northbound 5 before La Jolla Village Drive. Couple cars involved there, over to the right shoulder. North 805 on Miramar Road off-ramp, a collision over to the right shoulder. Also traveling on westbound 52 near Mast Boulevard. There is a collision blocking the fast lane. Traveling on eastbound 78 before Sycamore. Collision in the center divide. And tow trucks on scene of a crash southbound 67 just before Mapleview. Got a couple vehicles involved in that tangle. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, we may be screwed. Janine just said she heard the roller skating story is fake.
It's fake. Oh,
damn it!
It felt. I was going to caveat it with.
I was too.
Haven't really been able to vet this, but it had the feeling of being real. So if you're watching the Super Bowl halftime show, there was one of the skating dancers with Usher. Did not make it all the way through.
Fell off the stage.
Yeah.
That
definitely happened.
I think I saw one.
Didn't that actually happen?
I saw one person completely lose their skis, and I saw.
So one guy flying through the air.
One guy went up through the air.
We didn't see the aftermath of any of that, but it's very believable that someone would have, potentially lost the thread.
She did like a whole video, and it didn't happen. I'm done. I'm so done.
But the premise was, let's stick with the premise. The premise was, we don't have to play the audio, that she said that she knew how to roller skate.
You ruined my...
to try to get the job, and just felt like, I will learn. If I get the job, I will just teach myself. I will work hard at it, and I will figure it out before the time that I actually have to perform.
Yeah, she basically said she had put it on her resume. If you're an entertainer, dancer, actor, performer, you just put it all on there. And if you get hired for to dance the salsa, you just learn how to salsa dance real quick. You know what I mean? Like you just do a
crash course on anything.
Yeah, exactly right.
That you might as well figure it out. The hardest part in life, oftentimes, is just getting the job.
That's
getting
right,
your
man.
foot in the door. And I can understand why people will exaggerate, fudge a little bit when it comes to resume experience. I mean, we all do that. We take the tiniest things that we did in a job and we make them sound very grandiose, and that we learned all kinds of great skills and experiences from that 2-month stint we had doing whatever.
Well, like if we lost our job today and I had to go get a real job again, I'm going to be like, remember when Red was up for parole the last time and he's like, rehabilitated? I don't know. They're going to be like, do you have any skills? I'll be like, I have no idea. I've been talking to the microphone for 14 years. I can try to sell your product. I can try to crunch these numbers for you, but I've got nothing. I got nothing. This is all I know how to do now.
I would hire Red, by the way.
I would hire Red in a heartbeat. Very trustworthy.
Anything.
And the guy can get you whatever you need.
Well,
whatever you need.
You don't need that on the outside.
It's true. You just get it.
You just go and get it. But Red had wisdom.
He
and
was
I
so
think
smart.
that is more important than necessary. Sometimes wisdom is more important than skills. But in this case, we were just wondering how people thought the ethics of lying on a resume or a job application to try to get that position.
Somebody, when we teased it earlier, somebody made the point, you better lie on your resume because everybody else is. You know, that's the thing. It's everybody is making themselves look better than they are.
I mean, what would an authentic resume look like? Like you were completely open about all your flaws. Like I grew up like Paulie. You know, you worked at where? Woodstock Pizza.
Yeah, in college I was a shift manager at
What-
Woodstock's Pizza.
what would
I
be
told
the-
people I managed an Italian restaurant.
That's
What would the real description though of what Paulie actually did?
I worked at a Christmas tree lot.
Sound
I could
like?
say I was a botanist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a key to the restaurant, so I was like, "Oh, I'm a key holder," and I counted money at the end of the night. So I said I was really good with money,
Accounting,
accounting, and all
That
of
is
that
fantastic.
kind of stuff.
I managed an Italian restaurant. Sounds better than I managed a pizza joint.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Even though it's
Shift manager.
shift manager at a pizza joint.
I managed Bobby Flay's, eatery
Yeah.
inside of the Mirage Casino. I was an Italian Italian manager.
Yeah, Paulie counting up the cash at the end of the night. He's a financial planner.
Right.
That's so good.
Everybody does a little bit of that.
I mean, you have to. I think you have to. I didn't have to really lie to get. I'm trying to remember if I've. I mean, there's speak that you put on a resume. Obviously, like, I haven't done a resume in so long. I can't even remember mine, but mine was BS. I mean, it was BS. I definitely inflated like hit budget or sales quota 99 out of 100 months, something like that.
You don't want to lie about something like, maybe you only got a bachelor's degree.
Right.
You're like, no, I got a doctorate. Like,
Yeah. You don't want to do that. That's when, like, remember the guy from Notre Dame that got hired that lied on his resume and they fired him? George O'Leary.
That's
Like,
right.
Yeah, like, bro, it has serious consequences.
Well, and I think the reason for that is, in reality, very few people do the digging and research necessary to authenticate everybody's applications and resumes, because that would be a lot of work. Tracking down former employers, coworkers to really, and people do it for big paying jobs, background checks. I promise you that, when the Padres, before they signed Xander Bogaerts to a, $300 million contract, essentially, they did more than just the old checking of the back of the baseball card and the stats. There was a lot of discussions with people who knew him, who worked with him, just to make sure he was who he presented himself as with the Boston Red Sox.
Sure.
His public face matched, the private persona as well. But most of us aren't up for $300 million contracts. And honestly, if you get the hiring wrong, you fire that person and you go hire someone else. And that's the way the world tends to work.
So this thing's fake. That's a bummer. And I'm looking at it. I looked at the video now, and it looks like the black eye is it's too perfect. Like, you just happen to fall and get a black eye. Manny L in the chat just brought something up that it's a nightmare of mine. If we lose this job, I have to go back and get a real job. He says in there, proficient in Excel. If you put a gun in my mouth and said, do an Excel spreadsheet, I would have no idea. None. And that would be one. Hey, Excel is necessary for the job. I would nail it.
I can fill in some of the boxes, but
you would see me at Miracosta, like taking a crash Miracosta.
Apparently there's ways that you can make the boxes all like add up or something at the bottom of a
formulas.
row.
Do you know how to do Excel? Yeah, Paulie does all our spreadsheets. I mean, I'd be dead.
We have spreadsheets?
Yeah, we have spreadsheets. We do.
Buddy, it would blow your freaking mind what I have on spreadsheets.
We save all receipts. We have receipts for
I can tell you what commercials we did on July 17th,
They're in a spreadsheet.
2019.
They're not just in a Word doc. Because I can put anything in a Word doc.
like Google has Google Docs, which is like Word.
I have a hard
They
time
have
with that.
Google Sheets, which is like Excel.
I have a hard time with that.
It's the same thing.
I'd be dead. I mean, I would be dead if I had to go back and, all right, Woods, you got a presentation to do? I'd be like,
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Hope you guys like poster boards because I'm going to the Walgreens. I'm getting some posters.
Here's a question.
still exist?
Here's a question. You guys, our key card doesn't work tomorrow. Got to go out and get a real job. Who are you putting down as your references on your resume?
Adam Klug.
Adam.
Yeah.
He just fired us.
Well, that's a good
that's
point.
true. Screw him.
Why did he fire us?
I'm going to put you guys.
Randy Jones.
Randy Jones.
You say I'm putting
that guy's a P word.
I'm putting Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah. You got to put the
Fisher.
big names. Mark Loretta, Mud Grant. Yeah, I'd throw I'd try to big time everybody with the names.
You'd be fine. You'd be fine if you had to get a real job. You're personable. You can convince people of things. You've done sales before. You've had real jobs before.
You'd be dead.
I have never worked a real job in my life.
Hi, welcome to Jersey Mike's. I'm Ben. I'd like to take
My
your
son
order,
has
please.
more experience working at Jersey Mike's.
That's
I have no real world experience doing anything in my
Keep
life.
the mayo, guys. The mayo.
You're holding on to this like grim death. You don't have a choice.
Pretty
Real
much.
lifer.
Yeah, you're a lifer.
I mean, I guess, what a lot of people in media end up going into is PR.
Really?
Working on the other side of the aisle. It's basically, I've gotten all these pitches over the years and emails, and I know what I've responded to, the few that I didn't delete, what the things that you're really looking for. If you're a TV anchor, you're a radio host, and what is it that you're really looking for? You go to the other way and you go, okay, this company wants to pitch something. How can I convince a show like Ben and Woods to talk about it? Or how can I convince Channel 10 to do a story on this? What do I need to do to set that up?
Can't you just send a text to your contacts?
No, that's not enough anymore. You have to set it up with visuals for
Here it
TV.
is. Adam got it for you. Adam Paul says, I can see Ben being athletic director. 100%.
See, but that's a very budgetary.
know.
That's a very budgetary job.
You'd be great at that. You're Colonel Budget.
I know, but I've never actually
You also have to,
managed any professional finances before.
I don't know that you would succeed in selling the sizzle. You gotta sell your program too. You gotta go out and get
I think
money.
Ben could do it. He could do it. You could sell. You go into work for
Can you
Point
comfortably
Loma
ask people for
Nazarene.
money, donors?
Yeah, you could go to Point Loma Nazarene. Be
See,
the
asking
AD.
that would be tough for me. I don't like asking other people for things generally.
Well, that's when you delegate.
Stick the associate athletic director.
I delegate a lot to Paul and you, so I'm good at delegating for sure.
That is really Ben with the IRS. I could see that. Maybe a meter maid type, handing out parking tickets.
I'd probably end up as just like a Lyft driver.
Yeah, just driving.
I like
Lyft.
driving around.
Say that. Thank you.
I like reading maps.
Yep. There you go.
We know you like reading maps.
Yep,
I got you saying that 4 different times.
Just spend all day taking people places. Taxi cab driver in Vegas. They make decent money. Right?
You're in the car. I mean, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah,
I'd lose my
I
mind.
could. I could do it.
I couldn't do it.
I don't lose my mind in traffic. It's my quiet space. It's my good space. I don't know that I'd want someone in the back of the car. I'd want one of those screens where I can put it up so I don't have to talk to the person necessarily. So that would probably hurt my reviews, though. And I know you need to get good reviews from your customers to get more Lyft jobs.
Trying to think. Yeah, I try not to think about down the road, but oh my God.
Maybe
it's
DoorDash delivery. You don't have to talk to
terrifying.
anyone.
It's true.
I'm good at making sure orders are right. I'm pretty careful about that. I'd make sure I didn't bring Paulie cheesecake and a burger when what he really wanted was wings. I know how to differentiate last names.
D and R, right? Paul D,
your
Paul
letters.
R.
You know all
I know
your
all
letters.
26 letters. I understand how that works, and people want to have the right order. I can find houses pretty quickly. I think that's it. I am a DoorDash driver.
Well, it's good that you have something to fall back
I don't
on.
know that it's hugely lucrative, but I can also stay up a
get
good
out of it what
20,
you put in.
19, 20 hours
He
a day.
would.
So I could put in a lot of hours. I would think that would help you make more money.
Gas station D Pill says Life Coach Woods. I would love to be a therapist, but it's a lot of school. I actually asked I go, should I go back to school and get something to fall back on? And she's like, you're going to be in school for 8 years. You're going to be 60 years old when you're done. I'm like, all right, never mind.
Talking about jobs that aren't very lucrative, this one absolutely should be. I would actually love to be a teacher.
Yeah, I always wanted to teach too, but then I had kids, and I thought there's no effing way.
I would teach high school.
There's no chance.
So I just got a confession here from someone who fabricated a little bit in their resume.
Ooh.
So, you know my colleague, Steve Smith at Channel 10. His dad, Mike Smith, used to be the main sports anchor at Channel 10. When Steve was growing up, that was his job. And Steve texted and said, my first audition tape in 1998, I just retracked one of my dad's stories.
Genius.
So he took out the words and just replaced it with his voice that he had done. And after he got the job, the news director complimented him on that one story. That was the one that got him the job. It wasn't even his work. It was his dad's work.
Oh, I love it.
And he just stole it and passed it off as his own. Now, Steve is a very competent and deserving employee, but it's hard to get your foot in the door in a lot of jobs.
So Bo Woods, in like 15 years, pitching Adam Klug for a job, just goes back and finds some segment of me talking about how I haven't slept since midnight. I've been up since midnight. Adam's like, I had one. I don't need another one. That's great. That's a great story. Yeah, you fake it till you make it. You do what you got to do to get by. When I had to start as a DJ and I had no idea how to run the board, none. I mean, it was the most terrified I've ever been. Then you had to turn on the microphone and talk.
Boards are very complicated. For the YouTube crowd, flip your camera, Paulie, and just show them what it looks like, the board. Or, like, not flip it, but turn it, just show it down. Like, there are...
It was terrifying.
So many buttons and dials. And I have no idea what 80% of them do.
Yeah, you have to, and the only way to learn is trial by error. That's
I mean, like, all those buttons at the top, Paulie, I mean, I know... Like, turn on the microphone, turn off the microphone, louder, quieter. But there are like 80 buttons there at the top that I've got no clue as to what any of those do.
It's a nightmare.
A lot of sliders, a lot of buttons.
It's an absolute nightmare.
I mean, airplane cockpits look less complicated than what Paulie has to run in the morning.
That's no joke. It's no joke. He does it really well as well. Whew. All right, so.
How you doing over there?
I'm hurting. This is a 10-hour day already for the love. If you miss, I got up at midnight. I couldn't sleep. This is terrible.
We're going to have to do a 24-hour day probably coming up soon for the Padres overnight games in Korea.
What time do we have to be here?
So the game is supposed to start at 3 a.m. So if we're here for like the game before the game, like getting here around 2:30 a.m., watch the game. Sammy does his post-game show, and then we come on around 7, I would say.
There's a good chance I'm waking up right at 3, watching the first hour and a half from my bed.
Yeah, but not. What if we have a watch party?
Well, if we have, that changes things, but right now we don't.
Yeah, right now we don't.
We also have so let's call it a 3-hour game. Game ends around 6 a.m. local time. Sammy's got to do a post-game show, so we actually don't hit the air until about 7.
We really agreed to this, by the way. Adam says, we got to do this? Yeah, we'll do it. We
Once.
always talk out
Not
of
for
our
both
ass.
games.
No, just once.
I'm worried that I won't even be able to stay up for the second game after staying up for the first
No
game.
kidding.
That's going to be the challenge, I would think. First game, the adrenaline, the excitement, opening day, Korea, it's all new. The second game is going to be the tough
If it's
one.
like 7-0 Dodgers in the first, I'm going to lose my mind. But I got out of bed for that. I'm going to absolutely lose my mind, which could absolutely happen with that team that they're running out every single day. But no, today was a bad day. We'll get back tomorrow, knock it out of the park. I need to get some rest.
Get better.
I will.
Buddy.
You too.
Thank you for coming in anyway.
You're welcome.
All right. Annie and Elston are coming up next. I can tell you we're getting some new content in from Sammy Levitt. He'll have an update from spring training. But Jackson Merrill, talking to him right now and getting some new information about how he's going to be participating this spring for the San Diego Padres and, his mindset as he goes into what appears to be a fairly open competition for a roster spot and maybe even a spot in the starting lineup for the San Diego Padres this season.
Saw something. They've worked him out at 4 different positions. So, yeah, it's going to be really cool to see.
What, center, left, short,
I want to say first.
First.
Did I see first in there?
They can need help at any one of those places.
No doubt.
So Annie and Elston coming up next with all the latest from Padres spring training in Peoria. That'll do it for us today. Great job by the man controlling all of those dials and buttons over there. Paul Reindl, our executive producer and imaging director. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.